Welcome to Chinese Novel Audiobook. Chapter 1 Traveling Through Time. Why is it so late today again? It's the same every day. I don't make much money from working such a crappy job, and I'm exhausted. Hey, it's all the same. After exchanging a few words with his roommate, Xu Yuan dragged his tired body back to the room. It's already past 2 in the morning. I've been getting home at this time almost every day for the past month. The high-intensity work every day makes Xu Yuan exhausted. Usually Xu Yuan fell asleep as soon as he came back home, but today he didn't know why. Although my body was still very tired, I didn't feel sleepy at all. Xu Yuan browsed his phone for a while, but found it boring. Then he got up and turned on the computer. There are quite a few games on the computer. Xu Yuan glanced at the game icons on the desktop. But they all lacked interest and were a little bored of playing those games. Forget it, turn off the phone and go to sleep. When Xu Yuan was about to shut down the computer and go to sleep, he glanced at an icon in the corner of the desktop. That's a pixelated version of a dirt icon. There is a line of English letters on the icon, Minecraft. After seeing this icon, Xu Yuan felt a surge of excitement in his heart. The game Minecraft can be regarded as Xu Yuan's youth. He accompanied Xu Yuan for 8 years. When Xu Yuan was young, the first computer game he came into contact with was MC. This simple sandbox game brought endless fun to Xu Yuan. As the saying goes, once you enter Mayman, it is as deep as the ocean. Once you fall into this trap, you can never get out. I played it for 8 years. But even though Xu Yuan has been playing MC for 8 years, he still hasn't gotten tired of it. There are always countless places in MC waiting for him to explore. There will always be more advanced redstone technology waiting for him to develop. There are always all kinds of strange mods waiting for him to explore. There are always a wide variety of magnificent buildings waiting for him to build. MC is a special game, it is an endless world. In this world, you have countless ways to play. You can become a traveler and explore countless beautiful sights. You can become an explorer and conquer all kinds of strange monsters in various mods. You can become a farmer and be surrounded by various plants and animals every day. You can become an architect, and as long as you have patience, you can even replicate the Great Wall 1-to-1. You can become a scientist and study various redstone circuits. As long as you have the ability, making a computer in MC is not a problem. The most important thing that distinguishes MC from other games is that it is a game that will never end. As long as you want, you can stay in the game forever in your favorite and most relaxing way. This is also the reason why most MC players play for many years. This is a small world that belongs to the player himself. For Xu Yuan, who has been playing MC for 8 years, MC carries countless memories for him. As the friends around me gradually transformed from children into fathers. After slowly entering society and accepting the beatings of life. All those playmates who used to play games with me have never logged into the game again. After Xu Yuan watched his friends leave one by one, he slowly withdrew from his own beautiful world. Although I don't have much time to play this game after work. But the MC icon has always been saved on Xu Yuan's computer desktop. He hasn't been online for about 2 years. I haven't played for a long time. Go in and check my save file. After some updates, Xu Yuan finally logged into the game. After entering your own save file, take a look around. The world in the archive is still the same as in my memory. It took us a month to build this broken stilt house. The technology was really not that good back then. It's been so long, and Yang Kun's hair hasn't grown back yet. The nature of these villagers and profiteers has not changed. Quote. Xu Yuan wandered around the game, and every building and scenery was filled with memories. Just as Xu Yuan was feeling emotional, he saw a figure flash past in the original mine tunnel. When Xu Yuan saw this, he thought it was a friend who logged in. I subconsciously glanced at the lower left corner of the screen, but found that there was no reminder of players joining. Am I seeing things? Xu Yuan was also a little curious, so he walked quickly into the mine to find out what was going on. As soon as I entered the mine, I found that there was indeed a player not far away. The player has his back to Xu Yuan, although his face cannot be seen clearly. But the skin chosen by the player is Xu Yuan's most classic Steve's skin. Could it be Xiao Wu? Among this group of friends, only Xiao Wu likes to use Steve's skin when playing games. Xu Yuan was about to send a message to Xiao Wu, but when he looked up, he found that the player had suddenly sent a message. Retired. Just as Xu Yuan was wondering, he saw a face suddenly appear on the game screen. It was Steve's face, but his eyes glowed a blazing white light. This image can be said to be deeply rooted in the hearts of all MC players. Those white eyes and the classic Steve skin are undoubtedly positive. He is the big devil, him who exists like a ghost in MC. What the hell? Him. When Xu Yuan saw this, he was immediately frightened by HIM's face on the screen. The next second after seeing HIM's face, Xu Yuan felt a black screen before his eyes, and he knew nothing. I don't know how long it took, but I heard whispering voices. I've been playing this game for a week, and I'm still scared by these monsters. The holographic mode is really awesome. Of course it does. I heard that the game Minecraft took more than 10 years to develop, and the number of online users on the day of the public beta exceeded 1 billion. This game is fun, but it's too damn scary at night. There are monsters everywhere and I can't do anything. Indeed, but I have to say that this dig 3 and fill 1 method is still useful, otherwise we would all die here. Shish, keep your voice down, there are a lot of monsters up there. Hearing the murmurs of conversation around him, Xu Yuan slowly opened his eyes, only to find that the place in front of him was not the familiar shared house. At this moment, he was in a meadow in the wild. But because the terrain is open and the moonlight is bright, visibility is still good even though it is night. Where the hell is this? After seeing the surrounding environment clearly, Xu Yuan jumped up with a start. I subconsciously touched my waist, and after making sure it was still there, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. But before he could exhale half of the breath, he immediately inhaled it back. What the hell? Zombies. In the distance, I saw several zombies with hideous faces and a foul stench. After they spotted Xu Yuan, they immediately stretched out their arms and surrounded this side. Xu Yuan was stunned when he saw this. Who am I? Where am I? How could there be zombies? I am not dreaming, am I? After pinching his thighs several times, in so much pain that he almost cried, Xu Yuan finally confirmed that he was not in a dream. Seeing the zombies gradually approaching him, Xu Yuan didn't know if he had a brain seizure or what. He always felt that this zombie was inexplicably familiar. Blue clothes, purple pants, why do you look so familiar? It was not until the zombies slowly approached Xu Yuan that Xu Yuan realized that the color of the clothes seemed to be the same as that of the zombies in MC. Although these zombies are not the blocky images in the game, they are real. Xu Yuan thought about this and couldn't help but feel it was a bit absurd. Recalling his experience of encountering him when he was playing the game just now, Xu Yuan couldn't help but feel a little surprised. Could it be possible that I have traveled through time and space into the game? Chapter 2 The Demon King system has been activated. As a novel lover, Xu Yuan is naturally familiar with the term, time travel. I never expected that such a thing would happen to me. Xu Yuan thought for a moment, took a few steps back, and began to dig on the ground with his bare hands. After a while, I saw the soil in front of me loosen and fall out. The fallen soil was absorbed instantly. The moment the soil was absorbed, a virtual screen appeared in front of Xu Yuan. There is a long shortcut bar at the bottom of the screen. And that piece of soil appeared in the first slot of the shortcut bar. What the hell? Is he a real MC? After the test just now, Xu Yuan finally confirmed his idea. Now I am indeed in the world of MC. This 1100th world is somewhat different from the one Xu Yuan played before. This 1100th world is the real version of the 1100th world. Although I can hardly believe the fact in front of me, but since I have traveled through time, I can only accept it. Fortunately, I have 8 years of gaming experience. With these experiences, it is very easy to survive in this world. After thinking about this, Xu Yuan took a few steps back and continued to dig the soil on the ground. After digging another piece of soil, several zombies were already approaching his side. Xu Yuan calmly took out the dirt block from the quick bar and started to raise it under his feet. Fortunately, Xiaobai is not here, otherwise we would have to dig 3 and fill 1. Although the game has become more realistic, some of the game's mechanisms remain the same as before. The height of the zombie is exactly the height of 2 blocks of soil. As long as you stand on the ground, zombies can't attack you. Once in a high position, Xu Yuan calmly used his hands to pull a zombie below. After all, there was no time to make tools, so I could only kill these zombies with my bare hands. I have to say that there is still a big difference between games and reality. In the absence of weapons and tools in the game, it is normal to pick zombies with bare hands. But in reality, Xu Yuan really couldn't bring himself to do it. The soft and sticky touch, and the crisp snapping sound when the bone is hammered from time to time. These real touches made Xu Yuan's stomach churn. After about 5 or 6 scrapes, a zombie finally died. As the zombie fell to the ground, a cold mechanical voice sounded in my mind. Ding! The Demon King system has been activated. Closing square bracket. Killed species. Zombies. Skill acquired. No sense of pain. Armor gain. +2. Gained deterrence. 10. Kill value obtained. 1. The deterrence store is now open. Closing square bracket. Question mark. Kill points store is now open. These system prompts caught Xu Yuan off guard. It took Xu Yuan a long time to react. Demon King system. After seeing this system prompt, Xu Yuan couldn't help but think of his experience before he traveled through time. Originally Xu Yuan thought it was his eyes playing tricks on him, so he saw him in the game. But what happened at this moment seemed to prove that Xu Yuan was not dazzled before. How could there be such a coincidence in the world? After meeting him in the game, Xu Yuan traveled through time and space, and after traveling to the 1100th world, he activated the Demon King system. And as it happens, him is the big devil in the 1100th world. After thinking about this, Xu Yuan was also a little surprised. What on earth is going on? Xu Yuan thought about it over and over again but still had no idea what was going on. Forget it, let's study the system first. As a fan of novels, Xu Yuan is no stranger to the system. Soon I figured out how to open the system. After calling out the system, the first thing that appears in front of you is a personal information. Monster information, none. Monster type, unknown. HP, 40. Skills, none. Passive, no sense of pain, armor +2. Question mark comma comma question mark. Monster information, monster type. When Xu Yuan saw these two entries, he was stunned. Now what he could be sure of was that he had traveled to the 1100th world and became a member of this world. Xu Yuan thought he had traveled through time as a player, but he didn't expect to become a monster in this world. So what exactly is this world? Is it the real world or the game world? Xu Yuan was just thinking about it when the system voice in his head answered his question in time. The host is in the game world. Game name, Minecraft. Game information. This holographic game was developed by 0 Point Corporation after 10 years of research and development and was released for public testing a week ago. The game is suitable for any gaming helmet and gaming console. Closing square bracket. Current number of online players worldwide, 15e. Closing square bracket. Note, players can be resurrected after death, but the host cannot be resurrected after death. Closing square bracket. After seeing this information, Xu Yuan finally understood. It turns out that I have traveled to the holographic version of the game world of Minecraft. And he became a monster. Thinking of this, Xu Yuan couldn't help but feel a little worried. If he appears as a monster, it means that Xu Yuan will have to become enemies with players all over the world from now on. Even Xu Yuan has the support of the system and 8 years of gaming experience. But to be honest, Xu Yuan was really unsure about making enemies with more than 10e players around the world. Furthermore, players can be resurrected, but you cannot be resurrected if you die. What kind of Demon King can fight against more than 10 people? Xu Yuan was just worrying when an interface resembling a character image suddenly popped up in front of him. After seeing this interface, Xu Yuan was stunned. The interface shows a male character model. That character model looks exactly like me. He has a buzz cut, wheat-colored skin, and a beard that he forgot to shave for a few days. These are exactly the same as Xu Yuan's appearance before he traveled through time. But the only difference is the eyes of this character model. There was no eyeball visible in his eye sockets. The entire eye socket was like a light source, emitting a blazing white light. Seeing this character, Xu Yuan was shocked. Isn't this him? Seeing this familiar image, Xu Yuan was stunned. He seemed a little unable to believe the facts before him. This character has his own appearance and clothes the same as himself. But with this pair of eyes that don't belong to him, he suddenly becomes so much like him. It is no exaggeration to say that if him had a real version, it would definitely look like this on the information panel. All this seemed to be a coincidence and also seemed to be destined. Xu Yuan couldn't help but be stunned. Could it be? I am him. Almost all players who have played MC know the name him. He is a terrifying Demon King. His image is the same as the most classic original skin Steve in the game, the only difference is his eyes that emit white light. The story of him becoming well-known is that a player encountered another player in the save file while playing single-player survival. The player was using the default skin, which was Steve's skin, but his eyes glowed. When the single-player stepped forward to see what was going on, the man disappeared. But later, the player discovered that there were many man-made tunnels, facilities, and buildings in his save file. He posted a message online to ask the question, but the post was deleted. When he posted it again, it was deleted again. When he was about to post again, he received a message from a player named Herobrine, telling him to stop. When he wanted to check Herobrine's information, the computer displayed a 404 error. Later, the player came into contact with other players who had the same experience as him, and they also found out that the account of Herobrine seemed to be the brother of the producer Notch. So they sent an email asking Notch if he had a brother. Notch's response was, yes, but he is no longer alive. After this incident, many players posted that they had also encountered Herobrine. But after encountering him, my computer would immediately blue screen or freeze. And many players' posts about Herobrine will be deleted immediately. I don't know whether these are true stories or rumors. But these rumors undoubtedly give the name Herobrine a weird and mysterious color. Him means Herobrine in Minecraft. It is precisely because of these stories that him has become known to more and more people. There are also many fan works about him. But no matter which work it is, he is the supreme god and his power is unmatched. God doesn't bleed, but you do. This sentence came from him, which is enough to show his strength. Him was supposed to exist in legend. At this moment, Xu Yuan's experience is somewhat similar to those rumored. I did encounter him in the single-player save file. But unlike those rumors, Xu Yuan traveled through time after meeting him. And Xu Yuan also activated the Demon King system, and his appearance was no different from him. Maybe him chose Xu Yuan, or maybe Xu Yuan chose him. Whether it is coincidence or destiny. At this moment, him, the legendary figure, seems to be becoming a reality. Xu Yuan couldn't help but feel excited when he thought about this. If it's him, I can handle it with another 10e player. It's not that Xu Yuan is bragging. If he is facing gamers, him can indeed handle them easily. No matter how strong the players are, they are nothing more than game data. They must rely on computers to survive in the game. And him, the great devil, has an ability that other devils do not have. He is able to hack into and disrupt networks. This alone is a sure win for the players. So what if the player has the sword of domination of the universe, the Krypton Gold Lolita, or the Blade of Creation? Well, I'll just give you a blue screen of death package. Won't we just let Xu Yuan control us by then? However, Xu Yuan is not sure whether he can get the same skills as the Demon King. After all, the skill of hacking into the network is too buggy. Xu Yuan opened the system mall while thinking. Just killed a zombie and gained 10 points of deterrence and 1 kill value. The system also opens the deterrence and kill value stores. After Xu Yuan opened the deterrence mall, notes related to deterrence appeared on the screen. Deterrence. Unlock the types of monsters you can control and upgrade the range of monsters you can control. How to obtain. Kill monsters. Closing square bracket. Note. Only unlocked monster types within the control range can be controlled. After seeing this comment, Xu Yuan roughly understood the role of deterrence. The main function of deterrence is to unlock and control the surrounding monsters. The more deterrence you gain, the more monster types you will unlock, and the greater the range of monster control you will have. Although you can control monsters, you can only control their actions. For example, controlling them to stand still or attack a target. There is no way to control the monster's mind. If you want to control all monsters within range, you need to unlock them all. Xu Yuan took a quick look. Unlocking zombies requires 10,000 intimidation. Xiao Bai's is 20,000, Xiao Hei's is 50,000. The more powerful the monster, the more intimidation is required to unlock it. Scrolling to the bottom of the table of contents, Xu Yuan took a look at the requirements for unlocking the Ender Dragon. It actually requires a deterrent force of 1e. After seeing this, Xu Yuan couldn't help but be shocked. MC has finally made up for the debt it owes to the Ender Dragon. Although for an old hand like Xu Yuan, the Ender Dragon is just a little brother. But as the final boss of MC, he must be given enough respect. After reading the monster's unlocking information, Xu Yuan looked at the upgrade of the control range. The minimum control range is 15x15. To control monsters within a 15x15 range, 50,000 deterrent power is required. 50,000 is still a lot of deterrence. If you add the deterrent power required to unlock zombies, it will require 60,000 deterrent power. One zombie has 10 points of deterrence, which means you need to kill 6,000 zombies. For an old MC like Xu Yuan who has been playing for 8 years, killing 6,000 zombies is just a piece of cake. Once the monster tower is built, let alone 6,000, even 60,000, 600,000, or 6 million are not a problem. It seems that the monster control range is relatively easy to improve. As long as you have a monster tower, you can gain deterrence in large quantities. It's only a matter of time before you unlock all monsters and upgrade your control range. After reading the introduction of deterrence, Xu Yuan switched the interface to the kill value mall. Killing a zombie only gives you 1 kill point, which is quite difficult to obtain. The role of kill value is definitely greater than that of deterrence. As soon as the kill value mall was opened, the virtual interface popped up the annotation information about the kill value. Kill value, upgrade skills and enable mod. How to obtain: kill players more, kill monsters less. Closing square bracket. Although the system's comment on the kill value was only 2 lines, it surprised and delighted Xu Yuan. You can actually turn on the mod. Chapter 3: The player with the ID Steve. There are thousands of ways to play MC, and various mods account for half of them. For most MC players, exploring various mods is one of the great pleasures of the game. Mod is equivalent to various modules of the game. There are a wide variety of mods in MC. Mod can basically be divided into 7 categories: technology, magic, adventure, agriculture, decoration, practical, auxiliary, etc. There are endless various mods in these major categories. And it is always updated. There are many mods in each category that are familiar to players. For example, technology-related mechanical power, industrial age, applied energy, etc. Magic-related equivalent exchange, original cultivation, plant magic, etc. There are even more adventure games, such as A Song of Ice and Fire, The Void, Duskwood, Epic Siege, Titan, etc. These mods undoubtedly add a lot of new gameplay to MC. If these mods can be enabled, the improvement to Xu Yuan will undoubtedly be huge. Take the Titan module as an example. If Xu Yuan could activate the Titan module, the system will definitely unlock the information of Titan creatures, and if it is powerful enough, it will be able to unlock control over these Titan creatures. Just imagine if we could control a large number of Titan armies, wouldn't it be overwhelming? Then if you can unlock the Endless Greed module. With Xu Yuan's strength, he can definitely obtain the Sword of Domination of the Universe. With the sword that controls the universe, you can kill gods and ghosts when you meet them. In short, no matter what type of mod it is beneficial to Xu Yuan without any harm. Thinking of this, Xu Yuan couldn't help but get a little excited. As things develop slowly, there might really come a day when I will be holding the sword that controls the universe and surrounded by Titan creatures. After all, such a card is worthy of HIM's identity as the devil. After thinking about this, Xu Yuan took a look at the mod mall in the kill value mall. After a quick look, I found that these mods seemed to be all about monsters. Xu Yuan searched for a long time but didn't find any mods like the sword drawing mod that would provide benefits to the players. Can I only enable monster mod? As soon as Xu Yuan thought of this, the system immediately answered his question. Except for monster mods, other game mods can only be enabled by players. Closing square bracket. All server players can activate the corresponding mod when their kill value reaches the standard. After the player enhancing mod is turned on, the host can wear it but cannot create mod objects. After hearing the system's explanation, Xu Yuan finally understood. In other words, mods that benefit players, such as sword drawing, equivalent exchange, industrial age, etc., can only be activated by players. And even after the mod is enabled, Xu Yuan will not be able to make the weapons in the mod. But those weapons can be worn. In other words, you can snatch it from the players. It seems that I need to hurry up and grow. Although Xu Yuan has activated the Demon King system, his own strength still needs to grow slowly. If the player's development is ahead of Xu Yuan, he can activate some mods in advance. There is still a certain threat to Xu Yuan. For example, the player activated the Endless Greed module and successfully synthesized the Sword of World Domination. But Xu Yuan's strength has not yet reached the level to match that of the other party, so Xu Yuan can only be slaughtered. To put it bluntly, it means to develop first. Fortunately, Xu Yuan knew this information in advance, so he had some idea of what to do. Xu Yuan didn't think much about it, and then glanced at the first column in the mod store. The mod in the first column is Dusk Forest. It's a relatively simple mod. Xu Yuan took a look at the kill value required to activate it and couldn't help but gasp. Oh my goodness. It takes 5 million kill points to unlock it. Seeing this huge kill value, I couldn't help but sigh. It seems that there is still a long way to go. The Duskwood alone requires 5 million kill points. Xu Yuan didn't even dare to think about how many kill points would be needed to activate the Titan mod. If you want to develop quickly, you will definitely have many conflicts with other players in the future. Killing both players and monsters can gain kill points. But the kill value obtained by killing monsters is very little. Just now, Xu Yuan killed a zombie and only obtained 1 kill value. To open the Twilight Forest, you need to kill 5 million zombies. This number is really outrageous. Even if Xu Yuan built a monster tower, it would probably take a long time to open it. Furthermore, upgrading skills also requires kill points, which is probably quite a lot. If you want to quickly gain a large amount of kill points, you still have to kill players quickly. However, with Xu Yuan's current strength, it is still too slow to kill the player. We still need to improve our strength. After having a general understanding of the system, Xu Yuan closed the system interface. First I need to acquire more skills, and then build a monster killing tower. At present, it is definitely safer to acquire more skills. From the prompt given by the system after killing the zombie just now, you can know that you can obtain the monster's skills by killing the monster for the first time. This is still very simple for Xu Yuan. After the monster spawning tower is built, the deterrent power will increase rapidly. With enough skills and various monster minions around you, you can almost meet the players. It's not that Xu Yuan's skills are not good, it's just that he only has 1 life. Players can revive infinitely, so they don't have to worry about it, but Xu Yuan doesn't dare to gamble. Furthermore, Xu Yuan has not unlocked the monsters yet, so the monsters around him will still attack him. When he encounters players, and those monsters come to besiege him, it would be too embarrassing for him to be a demon king. While attacking the monster beneath him, Xu Yuan was planning what to do next. Just as the second zombie fell down, a hissing sound was suddenly heard behind him. This hissing sound is exactly the sound that Xu Yuan has engraved in his DNA. Creeper. It was almost like muscle memory. Xu Yuan jumped off the mud platform without even thinking about it. Then they quickly distanced themselves from each other. The explosion height of a creeper is about 4 to 5 blocks, and Xu Yuan does not have enough mud blocks on his body to support himself. The only way to survive is to quickly create distance. Fortunately, Xu Yuan reacted in time, and after Xu Yuan created some distance, all I heard was a loud bang. The creeper exploded. A deep pit was instantly blown out where Xu Yuan was before. All the zombies around were taken away by the stupid teammate creeper. Fortunately, I reacted quickly. If Xu Yuan hadn't reacted in time, Creeper would have had his moment of glory. Creeper. Back then, when I had my hands in my pockets, even him was no match for me. Creeper can be said to be the lifelong enemy of MC players. He is best at sneak attacks. He always appears secretly and gives the players a big surprise. When the players heard the sound, they had already been sent a random teleportation package. As the creeper exploded, the system also started to sound. Deterrence +10. Kill value +1. Deterrence +10. Kill value +1, Skill acquired. Explosion. Explosion LV1. Consumes 99% of the upper limit of health, causes 5x6 range damage, cooldown 60s. Closing square bracket. Question mark. Consume 5000 kill points to upgrade. There's actually a cooldown period. Hiss, 5000 kill value upgrade, that's really expensive. The explosion skill is equivalent to the first active skill obtained by Xu Yuan. Although killing zombies before also gave me a sense of pain. But that skill is passive and cannot be upgraded. The explosion skill is still very useful. After all, it is area damage and the explosion power is also very large. If the player has no armor, the attacker can kill him instantly if he is close enough. The only problem is that the kill points required to upgrade are a bit too much. Although the skill has a cooldown time, this is understandable. After all, this skill has high lethality if it can be used continuously without a cooldown period. Xu Yuan can conquer the world with just this one move. A level 1 explosion consumes 99% of your health, which is equivalent to leaving you with little health after one explosion. This is still very dangerous. In order to ensure safety, you must upgrade a few more levels. After obtaining the explosion skill, Xu Yuan's curiosity was instantly aroused. After taking a look around and seeing no monsters approaching, Xu Yuan decided to try this skill. Although it is a bit dangerous, it is the first skill I have acquired after all, and I can't suppress my curiosity. After picking up the dirt blocks that the creeper had just blown up in case of a monster attack, Xu Yuan found a clearing. Then he used the explosion skill. There was a loud bang. A pit was instantly blown open where Xu Yuan was. The body also fell into the pit as the surrounding soil collapsed. At this moment, the system information popped up again. Question mark. Kill value plus 27. Kill value plus 15. Question mark. Kill value plus 17. Comma. Xu Yuan still hadn't realized what was going on. But then a scream was heard. Looking closely, there were 3 more bodies of players in the pit. The scream came from a player named Steve who was standing at the innermost part of the pit. Steve opened his eyes wide and looked at Xu Yuan in disbelief. Before Xu Yuan could react, Steve immediately took out some soil from his bag and quickly put it on top. After reaching a certain height, he jumped up and ran away without looking back. In less than a few seconds, it disappeared into the darkness. Xu Yuan was stunned when he saw this. Question mark. What's going on? Also, if I'm not mistaken, that person's name is Steve. Chapter 4. A monster that looks exactly like me. As a monster, Xu Yuan has a certain degree of night vision. In addition, after killing zombies and creepers, the vision at night is even better. He must have seen the ID correctly. The reason why I was a little surprised was because of the name Steve. Anyone who has played MC knows the name Steve. Steve's fame should be much higher than him's. After all, the original character of the game is Steve. Since he is a classic MC character, he appears in many fan works. Steve is naturally the protagonist of the work. There are even some fan works that show a connection between Steve and him. Because him and Steve's images are almost the same except for the eyes. So there are also some fan works that set him as the dark side of Steve. Xu Yuan didn't know whether this was a coincidence or not. After becoming a him, the first player I met was named Steve. And his image is very similar to Steve in MC. It is very similar to my own image. I guess we'll meet again in the future. Xu Yuan doesn't believe these are just coincidences. But since we have already met and are standing on opposite sides, there will definitely be a war in the future. As him, Xu Yuan is still very confident that he can defeat Steve. After sorting out his thoughts, Xu Yuan looked at the bodies of the players around him that were gradually disappearing. This is Xu Yuan's first kill on a player. I just got 3 kills. But what's strange is that the kill values provided to Xu Yuan by the 3 people are different. Xu Yuan was wondering, but at this moment the system voice sounded in his head. The more monsters a player kills, the more kill points he gets. Closing square bracket. After killing a player, the player's kill value will be reset to 0. Closing square bracket. After hearing the system's explanation, Xu Yuan finally understood. I understand. Let's fatten him up first. Although their kill value will be reset to 0 after killing a player, this is somewhat unfriendly to Xu Yuan. But you can't just pull the wool from one bushel. If it is not reset, then Xu Yuan can easily imprison a player with a high kill value and kill him hundreds of times a day. Kill points are easy to obtain. After roughly figuring out how to obtain the kill value, Xu Yuan found an open space. After digging 3 and filling 1, the blood will slowly recover underground. Xu Yuan was lucky just now. When Steve saw him, he didn't even think of attacking him. Instead, he just ran away. If Steve had been a little more reckless, he would have pushed Xu Yuan before Xu Yuan could react. Then Xu Yuan is probably done for. After all, after using the explosion skill, Xu Yuan was already at a low health level. Whether encountering monsters or players, the situation just now was extremely dangerous. So it's better to be cautious. Fortunately, Xu Yuan appeared as a monster, and there was no such thing as satiety. There is no limit to blood recovery. After stopping the attack for a while, you will see the blood bar slowly rising. Since his own health was very low, it was restored in a short while. Seeing this, Xu Yuan thought for a moment. First, blow up some rocks to build a monster tower, and then go out during the day to get the first kill of the monster. After what happened just now, Xu Yuan became more cautious. Before you have enough strength, you should not take any risky actions. After all, life is precious, and the goddess of luck will not always favor you. Making a monster spawner requires a lot of stone and some iron ingots. With the explosion skill, stones are easy to obtain. You can probably get several groups by just blowing them up. Now Xu Yuan is not powerful enough to unlock the monster encyclopedia. Therefore, it is better to avoid mines and work underground at night. Otherwise, if you were blasting rocks and another creeper suddenly attacked you, you would be dead. After thinking about this, Xu Yuan immediately took action. At this time, on the other side of the grassland, Steve ran across the grassland out of breath. He turned around and looked behind him from time to time. After confirming several times that there was nothing following him, he finally stopped. Then he immediately took out the stone shovel and started digging down. After digging 3 squares downwards and filling the top of my head with a piece of soil, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. What was that just now? Before Steve could recover from the shock, a few, ding-ding, messages from friends rang out. The sudden sound scared Steve. After taking a long time, he slowly opened the friend message. Quote question mark 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 quote. What just happened? Damn it, how come I suddenly became angry while chatting? Does any of you know what happened? Steve calmed down a little after seeing the news from his friends. Then I replied to my friends. You should have been blown to death. After seeing Steve's reply, everyone was a little confused. Killed by an explosion. A crawler. It shouldn't happen. How could a crawler explode for no reason? Could it be that there was an internal fight between zombies and crawlers that injured innocent people? Holy crap, are you so lucky that you didn't get killed by the explosion? When everyone saw Steve say that they were killed in the explosion, they naturally thought of Creeper. After all, the only monster that can explode that they have encountered in the game so far is the Creeper. Seeing everyone's responses, Steve shook his head and then replied. Not a Creeper. It's a person who looks very similar to me, a monster. I don't know what that is. His eyes are like a source of light, emitting white light. Quote. Steve slowly recalled the appearance of the monster he had just seen. The more I think about it, the more creepy it becomes. He didn't know if it was a coincidence or something else. Why is that monster exactly the same as my character image? I spent a long time in the game to create this character. Although there is a very small possibility that there are players in the game who have a face similar to his, that is normal. But the monster we just encountered was obviously not a player. In other words, a monster in the game actually looks exactly like your character. The probability of this happening is too small. Unless the model of this monster is newly added. But this possibility can be completely ruled out. Because the game MC was developed by the gaming giant 0 Point Company after 10 years of development. It has only been open for 1 week, so that monster cannot be a new addition. And what's even more outrageous is that monster doesn't have a monster name on its head. All monsters encountered in previous games will have names above their heads. Zombies, creepers, skeleton shooters and more. But the monster that looked exactly like him had nothing on its head. That's why Steve wasn't so sure when he said that just now. Because he didn't know what he was encountering. Chapter 5. He is not an ordinary monster, he has thoughts. When all the friends heard Steve say this, they were a little surprised. Not a creeper. Wait, you said that monster looks like you. Brother, are you seeing things? Eyes emitting light. Could it be that we have encountered a hidden boss? When Steve saw the responses from his friends, he knew that they had not yet realized the seriousness of the matter. I'm not dazzled, and I didn't see it wrong. I've been pinching my face for several days, how could I not know? Also, I don't think that's the boss. He's not just an ordinary monster. I think he has thoughts. In fact, at the beginning, after Steve recovered from his shock, he felt for a moment that the person he had just encountered might be a boss. Maybe it was just a coincidence that he looked like me. Perhaps it's because he's the boss, so there's no monster name above his head. But when he recalled the way the monster looked at him, he immediately dismissed the idea. That look, though, was empty. But Steve could sense that that look was full of life. When that monster looked at him, it was not a string of code, but thinking. The reason why Steve was so sure was that if it was just an ordinary boss or monster, Steve was already within his search range. Without any thought, he would approach and attack immediately. But the monster didn't do that. He first looked around at the situation, then turned his gaze to Steve, and began to think. It was because he was thinking that Steve had the opportunity to escape. And this is why Steve's scalp is tingling. Imagine that when you are playing a holographic game, a monster that looks exactly like you suddenly appears in front of you. There's no monster name above its head yet, and it's definitely aggressive. It took away 3 of your teammates at once, but it didn't attack you. Instead, it looked at you with its scary eyes. In this environment, anyone would feel a chill down their spine. After seeing what Steve said, all his friends couldn't help but complain. Huh, thoughtful. Brother, are you scared silly? Ha 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 ha, you're too neurotic. This is just a game. What's the idea? It's just a string of code. Maybe there's a bug. Quote. Since the friends didn't see it with their own eyes, they naturally thought that what Steve said was exaggerating. Seeing this, Steve couldn't help but get a little anxious. Okay. Then let me ask you, if it was an ordinary monster, why didn't he attack me the first time he came down? To his friends, Steve's insistence on reasoning seemed like a forced explanation. But Steve is their leader, and they can't keep arguing with him, so they said. Okay, brother, I believe you. Let's go over there and take a look when it gets light. Indeed, if it is really a bug, you should be able to get some reward if you report it. Alright, let's adjourn the meeting. I'll head over there when it gets light. Although everyone compromised verbally, they did not believe what Steve said. Steve didn't know what to say anymore. When they saw it, they would believe it. After closing the chat bar, Steve immediately opened the forum. Then I started searching for terms related to white-eyed monster. After searching for a long time, no clues were found. Seeing this, Steve had no choice but to give up. It seems that I am the only one who has encountered this so far. The image of that monster just now has been lingering in Steve's mind. He had many questions in his mind about that monster. These questions certainly cannot be answered now. I can only slowly uncover it when I encounter it again in the future. The night passed quickly. The alternation of day and night in the game world is quite fast. But it's not as short as in the original MC. In this game world, both day and night are 3 hours long. Xu Yuan has almost finished all the preparations. Xu Yuan made quite a few discoveries that night. Although he is a monster, he is different from other monsters. You are able to make and use tools. Next, like other players, I also have a backpack and a quick bar. The backpack space is the same as that of the players. This is much more convenient. If we can't make tools and don't have a backpack, development will probably be much slower. During the night, Xu Yuan also used his explosion skills to blow up a lot of rocks. Iron ingots are also difficult to collect. After collecting all these and restoring my health, the sky gradually brightened. After arriving on the ground, Xu Yuan looked around. Since this is grassland, the visibility is very good. This place is definitely not suitable for building a monster tower. Xu Yuan also took 2 points into consideration. The first thing is to create the terrain for the monster spawning tower. The next thing is concealment. Try not to be discovered by players. After all, if players discover it, they will definitely destroy the monster tower and affect efficiency. If you want to improve the efficiency of the monster tower, it is best to be on the sea. In the game, there are limits on the monsters that refresh in each area. If the monster spawning tower is placed on the plain, then there will definitely be many mines where monsters will spawn throughout the entire area. As a result, the efficiency of the monster tower will be very low. The reason for choosing the sea is that the caves under the sea are filled with water, which will not generate too many creatures, and will not affect the monster spawning efficiency of the monster spawning tower. After thinking about this, Xu Yuan immediately set out to look for the ocean. After walking for about half an hour, we finally saw the ocean terrain. After taking out the workbench and making a wooden boat, he began rowing towards the ocean. Xu Yuan would definitely not build a monster spawning tower near the shore. This is a bit too obvious. After rowing for another half an hour, Xu Yuan finally found a suitable place. After determining a suitable location, Xu Yuan started construction immediately. The monster spawning tower made this time is the simplest water-type monster spawning tower. The principle is also very simple. Make a monster spawning platform about 30 blocks from the ground, and then use the water flow to push the monster off the platform and kill it. Xu Yuan also doesn't need to use any collection equipment. After all, the items dropped by monsters are of no use to Xu Yuan. Just when Xu Yuan was busy making the monster tower, Steve and his group also returned to their old place. There are some differences between this game world and the original MC. In the original MC, if you don't download the mod, there will be no coordinates displayed. Upon death, all equipment in the backpack will be dropped and the player will be randomly teleported to any place in the world. This also causes many players to be unable to find their way home after dying once. And in this game world, for the convenience of players, there is a real-time map in the game. Players will also drop all items in their backpacks upon death. But when you resurrect, you can choose a rough coordinate. For example, the person who died at the coordinates 322, 12, 50. When you resurrect, you can choose to resurrect at a location close to these coordinates. This also avoids the problem of players dying too far away from home. This is also why Steve's friends were able to gather so quickly. At this moment, Steve and his group stood in front of the deep pit that Xu Yuan had dug before, all of them lost in thought. I remember there was no such pit here before. This pit doesn't look like it was dug, but rather blasted. This stone pillar in the middle looks like it was built from the bottom. Could it be the work of that monster Steve mentioned? Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 6 Eye-roll Steve. Seeing the deep pit in front of them, Steve and the others were all shocked. Before this, other people still didn't believe what Steve said. But after seeing this deep pit, their thoughts were shaken. Obviously, this pit was not man-made. Normal players who want to dig stones or mine minerals will basically dig in a regular pattern. Either dig 2x2 or dig all the way to the bottom. This deep pit feels like it was caused by an explosion. So it is definitely not man-made. Moreover, Steve and his team had confirmed it yesterday before they dug 3 parts and filled 1 part, that there was no one else around except them. Then this deep pit could only have been caused by the monster that Steve mentioned. After all, everyone knows that the monster can use explosion skills like the creeper. At this moment, facing this deep pit, they had too many questions. Why should he go down? Why do you want to get up again after going down? Are you looking for something? Why can a monster use blocks? All these questions lingered in everyone's mind. But no matter what the doubts were, everyone's views on this monster had changed. They didn't take Steve's words seriously before, but now it seems that this monster is really not that simple. Isn't this too weird? Is there some kind of intelligent AI monster in this game? Impossible. If this thing existed, the game would be heavily promoted. His behavior doesn't seem like that of a monster at all. It's more like that of a player. Could it be some mutated player or something? If this thing existed, it would have gone viral on the forums a long time ago, right? After analyzing it for a long time, everyone couldn't come up with a reasonable explanation, so they all turned their attention to Steve. After all, only Steve had seen that monster. Seeing this, Steve thought for a moment and comforted everyone. Anyway, if you meet him again, be careful. It's just a game anyway. I can be resurrected even if I die. We can only slowly investigate what he is later. Although this incident was a bit strange, Steve was indeed scared at first. But when I think about it, it's just a game anyway. Even if I meet that monster again, it's just a matter of life. It doesn't mean that death cannot be resurrected. As long as there are no valuables on them, it doesn't matter to them. As for the various questions about that monster, they will be slowly revealed in the future. After hearing what Steve said, everyone nodded. Steve continued to add upon seeing this. Let's build a base nearby. The environment and resources here are pretty good, and there's a chance that we'll run into him again. Since the game has only been launched for a week, players are not developing very quickly. Many players are in a state of stopping and starting, and have no fixed residence. After all, the game world is so big, and many players want to visit more places. Steve and his group had the same idea before. But after what happened yesterday, Steve decided to settle. He was really curious about that monster. He didn't know what was wrong with him. He was not a very curious person. For the first time, he felt as if he had some destiny. The encounter with that monster was not a coincidence. He was also very sure that he would meet that monster again. After hearing what Steve said, everyone had no objection. Okay, then I'll go and chop down some trees, and we'll build a 3-story building. This grassland is nice, with a good view and lots of animals. I'll go and get a few and raise them, and then I won't have to worry about meat. I'll go dig some coal and try to get more bright spots, so I don't have to be afraid at night. After everyone started to do their own things, Steve opened the forum again. Then I added a star to a post I posted about the monster manual. Monster name, unknown. Monster appearance, white-eyed Steve with photos. Monster attributes, unknown. Monster skills, currently the only skill known as explosion, similar to the creeper, but the explosion will not kill him. Monster ability, can obtain and use blocks. Closing square bracket. First appearance location, XXX, XX, XX. P.S. He has his own thoughts and is able to think. He does not seem to be a product of code, so the possibility of him being a game boss is ruled out. Note: if you see him, please evacuate quickly. We are no match for him for now. Steve is considered a well-known figure in the forum. He often posts some very practical strategy posts, which are also sought after by many players. As soon as the newly added star post was released, it received many comments from players. Huh, I roll Steve. Really? Really? My favorite poster has also started to talk nonsense just for traffic. If you said it was a monster with white eyes, I would believe it, but what about white-eyed Steve? This is too fake, isn't it? Is the op so excited? What do you mean by having your own thoughts? This is just a game. Boss Steve, I've always liked your guide, but this time, do we really need that much traffic? No picture, no truth. Please post the picture. Based on Steve's few words, the players naturally didn't believe the monster that Steve was talking about. The main reason is that what Steve described was a little too ridiculous. What a white-eyed monster that looks like me, what a monster that has no name, and what has its own thoughts. These descriptions are a bit too outrageous. No matter how you look at it, it seems like Steve is talking nonsense just to attract traffic. Steve naturally also saw the players' comments. But he did not reply to any message. The players didn't believe he could understand. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed that such a bizarre thing could happen. But the fact is, there really is such a bizarre thing. Steve believes that this post will be confirmed one day. After more than 2 hours of hard work, Xu Yuan finally built his first monster-killing tower. At this moment, the monster tower has also started to operate. Since the monster tower was built by Xu Yuan, even the monsters were not killed by Xu Yuan himself. It can still provide deterrence. Not long after the monster tower was running, Xu Yuan's screen was flooded with system messages. Deterrence +10. Deterrence +10. Obtained skill, invisible arrow. Skill acquired, accurate shooting. Invisible arrow, you can use a bow without wearing arrows. Accurate shooting LV1, shooting accuracy 100%. Consume 5000 kill points, can be upgraded to tracking arrow. These two skills were obviously provided by Xiaobai. The simple monster tower made by Xu Yuan basically spawns zombies, creepers, and whitebait. Xu Yuan also didn't need to build a monster spawning tower for fixed monsters. After all, what he needed was deterrence, not supplies. The monster tower built by Xu Yuan was not a very large one, it could only be considered a medium-sized one. After all, there are no skills like flying into the sky at present, and it is too difficult to set up. Although the monster tower is not very big, it is enough for now. The efficiency is still acceptable. Xu Yuan roughly estimated that the profit is about 5,000 monsters per hour. That is a deterrent force of 50,000 per hour. Hang up for an hour and you can unlock a 15x15 monster control range. This efficiency is still acceptable. Xu Yuan was also very satisfied to see the monster tower running smoothly. The next step is to get the monster first kill. Chapter 7, It's Really Delicious. The game world of MC is divided into 3 major parts: the main world, the netherworld and the end of the world. Each section has its own exclusive monsters. Xu Yuan will definitely be the first to kill these monsters. However, for now, we will focus on the monsters in the main world. Xu Yuan had been building the monster tower for several hours, and his biggest need at this moment was to take off. It's such a torture not being able to fly and build buildings. Recalling the monsters in MC, those that can fly include bats, annoyances, phantoms, ghasts, withers and ender dragons. Xu Yuan had encountered a bat before when he was blasting rocks. After killing it, he didn't need to use any skills. There is not even any deterrent effect. It is a purely decorative product. And after Xu Yuan's analysis, it is estimated that this skill can only be obtained by killing monsters that have flying skills. Creatures like bats, annoyances, phantoms, and ender dragons all have wings and can fly by themselves, rather than using skills. I guess even if it's the first kill, there's no way to provide myself with the flying skill. Ghast and Wither have a higher chance of acquiring the flying skill. And these two monsters are both in the underworld. It is too troublesome to go to the nether. You need to make a nether portal to go to the nether. The portal requires at least 10 pieces of obsidian. Although the nether portal can be made by pouring, Xu Yuan still has to prepare a few iron buckets and then find lava. It's still too time consuming at the moment. Forget it, let's just make do with a teleportation skill first. If you want to obtain the teleportation skill, just look for Xiao He. Enderman, nicknamed Xiao He. Because his whole body is dark, he is affectionately named Xiao He by the players. After clarifying the goal, Xu Yuan immediately embarked on the journey to find Xiao He. After killing several zombies taking shelter under trees along the way, Xu Yuan also found a lone spider. After killing him in 2 or 3 moves, the skills he gained surprised Xu Yuan. Acquired skill, Toxin Immunity. Skill acquired, Vertical Walking. Skills acquired, Powerful Spider Silk. Toxin Immunity, immune to all toxins. Facade Walking, can walk on any wall. Strong Spider Silk LV1. Launches a ball of spider silk with a hardness of 5 to trap creatures, slowing down their movement speed by 30%, with a cooling time of 60s. Question mark. Consume 5,000 kill points to upgrade. Xu Yuan never expected that a tiny spider could provide him with so many skills. And they are all very useful skills. Not to mention immunity to poison, it is definitely a useful passive. Next, the skill of vertical walking is very practical. It is very useful whether it is for building buildings, going into mines or traveling. There is also a powerful spider silk skill. This active skill can be upgraded. The direction of upgrading should be the hardness of spider silk and the speed of delay. If the hardness of spider silk can reach the hardness of obsidian, or even the hardness of bedrock -1, the delay speed can be increased to 100% or 200%. Then this skill is equivalent to a rope to tie up immortals. Once you are tied up, no one can escape. For the first time in my life, I found spiders so cute. Xu Yuan is a typical example of someone getting slapped in the face for being so good. When Xu Yuan played MC before, he had 2 creatures he disliked the most. The first one is the woodworm. Those who know about it will understand that it looks a bit too disgusting. Next is the spider. The main reason is that there are too many eyes, which makes Xu Yuan, who has a fear of crowds, feel particularly uncomfortable. At this moment, Xu Yuan felt that the spider had become cute. Not long after killing the spider, Xu Yuan found a little black one. After approaching Xiao He, he placed the wooden boat he had made earlier under Xiao He's feet. Xiao He was also very cooperative and got on the boat immediately. The method used by Xu Yuan is the most convenient way to kill Xiao He. Xiao He can teleport within the area of a 64x64x64 cube. There are 2 ways to kill it quickly without taking any damage. Or he would build a platform above his head and take advantage of Xiao He's height disadvantage so that it couldn't attack him. The next step is to use a boat to restrict its teleportation. As long as Xiao He gets on the boat, it will be meat on the chopping board. At the mercy of others. After killing Xiao He with a few bangs, Xu Yuan also obtained the teleportation skill he had always dreamed of. Skill acquired, Teleport. Acquired skill, Projectile Damage Immunity. Teleport LV1. Teleport within a 64x64x64 cube with the original position as the center, and can carry 1 item or organism, cooling time 60s. Closing square bracket. Question mark. Consume 5,000 kill points to upgrade. Projectile Damage Immunity. Rebounds projectiles and cannot be damaged by projectiles, including arrows, tridents, snowballs, eggs, alpaca saliva, etc. Seeing the system's summary of skills, Xu Yuan was almost overwhelmed. I have to say that the system is still very detailed. It even notes things like alpaca saliva. Xu Yuan took a quick look at the skills he had acquired so far. It still feels very practical. There are not many damage skills, only explosion, spider silk and infinite arrows can barely be considered half damage. But it's enough for now. If I can get some more first kills and build up my intimidation power overnight, I'll probably be able to meet the other players. Currently, the biggest improvement for Xu Yuan is the kill value. After all, kill points can upgrade skills. Xu Yuan's biggest need is actually the skill of explosion. Group attack plus strong attack power. If combined with the teleportation skill, you can instantly kill the player you encounter by teleporting over. The reason for upgrading this skill is just in case. Now the explosion will consume 99% of the health, so it is still too unsafe to have only a little health left. After thinking about this, Xu Yuan continued to search for traces of various monsters on the map while teleporting. It's been a while since Steve posted. The post was highly popular. Players are also very curious about the white-eyed monster that Steve mentioned. At this moment, the comments under the post have become polarized. Most people didn't believe what Steve said and thought he was just trying to gain traffic. But there were still a few people who stood on Steve's side. After all, Steve's gaming reputation is pretty good. It has only been a week since the game was launched. But the strategies Steve made also helped many people. After seeing the post go viral, many players didn't know whether it was out of curiosity or just to attract traffic. They all came to the grassland where Steve was in groups. The grassland is extremely lively at this moment. Boss Steve, where is the monster? I came here specifically to see that monster. Why are you rolling your eyes, Steve? Roll your eyes, Steve. Come on, why don't you let Big Steve roll his eyes at you? Ha 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 ha. Boss Steve has settled down here, so I guess what he said is not a lie, right? If there really is a monster like the one he described, with so many people gathered here, wouldn't they all be wiped out at once? Chapter 8 Night Patrol, White-Eyed Steve. The originally quiet grassland became lively after this group of players joined. And many players are rushing over from other places. It is currently in the early stages of the game, and players are already in a state of detachment. Besides, I don't have anything valuable on me, so it doesn't matter where I build my home. Since we are all the same, it is better to stay together. At least everyone can take care of each other in life. I came from the north and took a look. This place is really nice. The terrain is diverse. There is also the sea after walking for about half an hour. I originally came here to join in the fun, but I didn't expect this place to be quite suitable for development. I settled down here. The monster that Steve mentioned might be a hidden boss or something. If we kill it, it will probably drop a lot of goodies. It won't hurt to stay there longer. Hey, what are you doing? I occupied this land first. Quote. After the players came to this grassland, many of them didn't want to leave. After all, the place Steve chose is really good, with rich terrain and naturally abundant supplies. Seeing the matchboxes rising from the ground, Steve felt a little confused. With so many players gathering here, he didn't know whether it was a good thing or not. Although it is true that there is strength in numbers, sometimes too many people can do harm. But there's no point in thinking so much now. This place doesn't belong to Steve, and now that all the players are here, it's impossible for Steve to drive them all away. No matter how many people there are, if they are united in purpose, development will still be very fast. After thinking about this, Steve also began to give orders. Everyone try to cut down more trees or dig more coal, make more torches, and light up the surrounding area. This is grassland terrain, there will be a lot of monsters at night, everyone try not to go out at night. Also, since everyone has come to live here, I hope everyone will abide by the rules and not steal or rob items. The players who come here are all individual players, and it is inevitable that some of them have low quality. Although the players don't have anything valuable on them now, Steve still needs to take precautions first. The players were busy all day. There are some rudiments of villages on the entire grassland. There are farmlands, pig pens, sheep pens and cattle pens. It's just that the players' level of building houses is a bit poor. Except for a few small bungalows that look okay, the rest are basically various matchboxes. As night fell, the entire grassland was lit up with tiny sparks of fire. The players' awareness of prevention was quite good, and torches were lit all around the entire village. Although the area around the village was brightly lit, the players did not dare to run around. Now people don't have the ability to travel at night. There was nothing to do at night, so the players all went home and started browsing the forums. At this moment, a live broadcast room was pinned to the top of the game forum. The title of the live broadcast room is simple and crude. Night Patrol, White-Eye Steve. Closing square bracket. This live broadcast room was opened by a player with the ID Mang Jie. This man is on the grassland where Steve is. From the title of his live broadcast room, we can tell that he is doing this to attract traffic. Steve's post is still very popular in the forum. Many people come to this grassland just to get some traffic. During the day, many people also start live broadcasts. But those live broadcasts are not very interesting. They are nothing more than videos of players tilling the land, building houses and so on. Since the players clicked into the live broadcast room, they must want to see something related to the white-eyed Steve mentioned by Steve. Brother Mang was also very good at catering to the needs of the people and sees this wave of traffic very well. At this moment, in Brother Mang's live broadcast room, I saw Brother Mang holding a torch in his right hand and an iron sword in his left hand, heading towards a place far away in the village that was not lit by torches. Brothers, let's not hype it up, let's do it for real. Today I'm going to show you how to fight fake things. See if the monster Steve was talking about actually exists. Today I'm handing over the command to you brothers. If you tell me to go that way, I'll go that way. Everyone please send gifts and pay attention. Brother Mang shouted as he walked towards the distance. The live broadcast room shows Mang Ji's first-person perspective. Since the game is in holographic mode, players can feel very involved when watching it. At this moment, the barrage of comments and gifts in Brother Mang's live broadcast room also filled the screen. Brother Mang is really brave. If he goes out like this, he will just give away the iron sword for nothing. Brother, you are new here, right? Brother Mang is a skilled person. His previous live broadcasts were all parades at night. Forget about the technical skills, my hand speed is okay. Anyway, when I see the monster, I dig 3 and fill 1 in really fast, ha 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 ha. I'm a little excited. What if I really run into that monster? If you really encounter it, just call for help. So many people have gone there, so many players, a mouthful of saliva from each of them can drown the monster, right? The live broadcast room was very popular, and many players sent gifts. Brother Mang is also full of energy. Of course, he didn't believe in the existence of such a thing as a monster with rolling eyes. He was just trying to get traffic. Anyway, I always live streamed walking around the street at night before, so this time is no different. While interacting with the audience, Mang Jie headed towards a farther direction. The day passed quickly, but Xu Yuan's harvest was not ideal. Xu Yuan originally planned to get the first kills of all the monsters in the main world within one day. But I didn't expect bad luck. I've been searching for a whole day, but I haven't found the swamp or the woodland mansion. Slimes and witches will spawn in the swamp, while monsters such as guardians will spawn in the woodland mansion. There are none near these terrains. Seeing this, Xu Yuan had no choice but to give up. There are many things that the more you try to find, the harder it is to find, so Xu Yuan didn't force it. However, Xu Yuan did not gain nothing on this day. After a day of hard work, I finally learned a skill. Hide level 1, able to hide in rocks. Consume 5,000 kill points to upgrade. This skill is given by killing silverfish. I have to say, this skill is pretty good. It's a pretty good life-saving skill. After a day of hard work, Xu Yuan opened the system panel and took a look at the data. At this moment, Xu Yuan's deterrent power has reached more than 130,000. The kill value also reached more than 13,000. Seeing this, Xu Yuan silently estimated. A total of 8W of deterrence is required to unlock zombies, whiteys and creepers, plus 5W of deterrence is required to upgrade the control range to 15x15. Just 130,000 is needed for deterrence. It's just right. Just after the 130,000 deterrent power was used up, Xu Yuan upgraded the explosion and teleportation to the next level respectively. Explosion LV2 consumes 89% of its own HP, causes 6x7 area damage, cooling time 40s. Closing square bracket. Consume 10,000 kill points to upgrade. Teleport LV2. Teleport within a 74x74x74 cube with the original position as the center, and can carry 2 items or organisms, cooling time 40s. Closing square bracket. Consume 10,000 kill points to upgrade. Since Xu Yuan only has a kill value of 10,030, he can only upgrade 2 skills separately. Otherwise, the best choice is definitely to upgrade the explosion skill first. Seeing that everything was almost ready, Xu Yuan also twisted his neck. It's time to go find some players to practice with. Chapter 9. Run, he is right beside you. After unlocking the control range and upgrading skills, Xu Yuan's strength did not undergo a qualitative change. But it has still been enhanced a lot. In fact, with the teleportation skill in hand, the player can basically not threaten Xu Yuan. After all, Xu Yuan has a passive ability that makes him immune to all projectile damage. So for now Xu Yuan only needs to worry about close-range attacks. However, with the teleportation skill, Xu Yuan can immediately distance himself even if the attack is close. At worst, just blow the player to death. Both of these skills currently have a relatively long cooldown period. So it is better to be cautious. After improving his strength, Xu Yuan immediately began searching for players on the map. Xu Yuan certainly wasn't wandering around aimlessly. Xu Yuan has already chosen the first destination, which is near the grassland where Xu Yuan and Steve met before. After all, that was where Xu Yuan first met the player. Although Steve and his friends may not necessarily revisit the old place, but there might be other players around. Xu Yuan naturally went to look for it with the mentality of giving it a try. While looking for players, you can also find the terrain of the swamp and woodland mansion to get the first kill. Xu Yuan walked while teleporting, and it took him about 40 minutes. Finally, I arrived at the coordinates where I met Steve before. Just as I was about to move forward, I heard some unusual movements ahead. Looking closely, it turned out to be a player. The player's ID was Mang Jie. He was holding a torch and muttering to himself, as if he was talking to himself. Seeing this, Xu Yuan slowly hid among the rocks nearby. Brothers, we've been searching for so long, but we still haven't seen any trace of that white-eyed monster. If I look for another half an hour today, I'll go back along the same route. Whether we go straight to the woods or turn left to the cave, it's still the same. It's up to you, brothers. After Brother Mang finished speaking, he glanced at the barrage and then walked towards the cave on the left. The visibility of the cave in front of us is not very low, mainly because the other end of the cave is connected. It is called a cave, but in fact it is more like a tunnel in the mountains. The tunnel is neither long nor short, about 20 blocks long. The entire tunnel looked extremely eerie, and the cold wind blowing through made people shiver. Brother Mang held a torch, took a deep breath, and stepped in. The torches soon illuminated the tunnel a lot. In the tunnel, there were a few zombies and a little white standing scattered around. When Brother Mang saw this, he immediately shrank back. Oh my god. Guys, there's a skeleton shooter in there. That thing is so annoying. Although Brother Mang often strolls around the streets at night, he basically goes to relatively wide terrains. You can see what monsters there are at a glance and avoid them accurately. Brother Mang had never been to this kind of tunnel terrain before. In this kind of terrain, it is difficult to survive when there are so many monsters. It would be even more troublesome if there were ranged monsters like Xiaobai. When everyone in the live broadcast room saw Brother Mang shrink back in fear, they all started to set the pace. Isn't Brother Mang very reckless? What? You don't dare to go in. You're so scared by just a skeleton archer. What if you encounter a monster with white eyes? Brother Mang, look what's behind you. Hiss. Brother Mang, look behind you. Comma. Generally, once the pace in a live broadcast room gets started, the screen will be flooded with comments. Let Brother Mang look behind him, and this sentence is equivalent to the rhythm of the live broadcast room. After all, as a nighttime anchor, Brother Mang is often deliberately frightened by his fans. Whenever Brother Mang was a little scared, someone would tell him to look behind him. Seeing the rapid pace of the barrage, Brother Mang was a little amused. He turned around and looked behind him, then raised the torch to illuminate the environment behind him. I saw a few zombies and a creeper taking a rest under a tree not far away. Come, let me show you what's behind you. See, 3 zombies and a crawler, all sleeping quietly under the tree. You can't scare me, okay? Don't you get tired of playing this joke so many times? Who am I, your brother? There are so many people coming to this grassland. Is there anyone who has the courage to go out and look for monsters at night like me? Brother Mang naturally understands the rhythm of his own live broadcast room. Just when Brother Mang didn't take it seriously, some careful viewers in the live broadcast room felt something was wrong. Why do I feel something is odd when I see those monsters? I can't tell what's odd about them. The one above, I have the same feeling. I always feel like something is wrong. I felt something was wrong the moment he entered the tunnel. Many viewers in the live broadcast room felt that something was wrong from the moment Brother Mang entered the tunnel and saw the monsters. But I can't quite tell what's wrong. At this moment, Steve was also watching Mang Jie's live broadcast. Steve was naturally curious about the monster with white eyes, but he would not seek death like Mang Jie. Fortunately, Steve had nothing to do in the evening, so watching the live broadcast was a way to pass the time. If Brother Mang really encounters a monster with white eyes, he can prove that he did not lie. Steve watched the live broadcast for a long time, and at this moment he felt something unusual just like his fellow viewers. He observed the scene carefully, recalling what happened after Brother Mang entered the tunnel. Suddenly, he seemed to remember something. Then he stood up with a start, and after thinking about it carefully, he suddenly felt numb all over. It's those monsters. There's something wrong with those monsters. He had clearly entered the monsters' search range, but the monsters didn't attack him. Only then did Steve discover the source of the problem. Ever since Brother Mang stepped into the tunnel, the monsters around him have never attacked him. Moreover, I don't know if it was my illusion or what, but after Brother Mang entered the tunnel, the picture in the live broadcast room had a slight frame drop. Although it was very minor, Steve still noticed it, and several people in the barrage also responded to this issue. There was no frame drop at all before. These anomalies instantly reminded Steve of the figure in his mind. Those white eyes. Steve got goosebumps at the thought. He immediately shared his discovery. Those monsters were all controlled. That's why they didn't attack you. Run. He is right next to you. Since Steve's ID is certified by a big shot, the barrage he posts is also colored. Steve previously chose red as the font color. At this moment, the bright red words, "Run, he is right next to you," instantly occupied half of the screen. Coupled with the weird atmosphere in the camera, it makes people shudder. After seeing the comments posted by Steve, the players suddenly felt a little numb. Hiss. I knew something was wrong. It's true, those monsters didn't hit me. At this distance, he would have definitely pounced on me before. What the hell? I got scared while playing a crappy game. Go away, evil spirits. Go away, evil spirits. Oh my god, could it really be that white-eyed monster who did this? What the hell? No way. Why would he do this? Does he really have a mind? Shish, stop talking, I'm scared to death. I'll go first. High energy warning ahead. Non-combatants evacuate immediately. Chapter 10. We can make mistakes 10,000 times, but he can't. The players in the live broadcast room were all scared after hearing what Steve said. Although everyone knows that this is a game. But because the holographic design of the game is so good, watching the live broadcast is equivalent to the VR first-person perspective. Coupled with the rendering of the gloomy environment around, players felt that the hairs on their bodies stood up. In fact, many times, the horror that comes from careful thinking is much more frightening than the horror that comes from a direct impact. And what is happening to Brother Mang at this moment is the kind of horror that is extremely terrifying when you think about it carefully. Although everyone guessed in their hearts that all this might have been done by the white-eyed monster that Steve mentioned. But it's even more terrifying because everyone guessed this. If this was really done by that white-eyed monster, it means that Steve's description of him is correct. This shows that this white-eyed monster really has thoughts. Although the players don't know what he wants to do. But his actions don't seem like those of an ordinary monster. If that white-eyed monster was an elite monster or a boss, he would definitely appear immediately and kill Brother Mang. But he didn't do it. His way of thinking is more like that of human beings. At this moment, all the barrages in Brother Mang's live broadcast room exploded. Netizens also sent comments asking Brother Mang to run away quickly. Brother Mang naturally also saw Steve's remarks. At this moment, he himself realized the seriousness of the matter. Even the viewers in the live broadcast room felt scared when seeing such a situation, let alone Brother Mang who was in such a situation. At this moment, he was so frightened that he almost lost his mind. He repeated it in his mind 100 times. It's a game. It's a game. This is just a game. Even though Mang Jie kept telling himself that this was just a game, reason still couldn't overcome fear. It's just like playing a normal escape room game, you know that the NPCs are all people in disguise. NPC won't do anything to you at all, at most it will just scare you. But when you're in a situation like that, you're just afraid. At this moment, Brother Mang no longer cared about issues like face. After he had prepared himself mentally, he breathed a sigh of relief. Then he prepared to turn around and leave this place of trouble. As soon as Mang Jie turned around, before he could run, he froze in place. At this moment, in front of him, a pair of empty eyes emitting white light were scanning him. It was only at this point that Mang finally knew what the white-eyed monster Steve had mentioned looked like. It was a face that was almost identical to Steve's. The only difference between him and Steve was his eyes that emitted a blazing white light. The white light emanating from his eyes was like the scythe of the god of death, bringing endless despair to Brother Mang. Just as Brother Mang saw the appearance of the monster in front of him, he heard a loud bang. Following the loud noise, Brother Mang's screen also turned black. At this moment, in Brother Mang's live broadcast room. The live broadcast room has gone black, but the players have not left yet. The barrage of comments also filled the screen, even more than when the show started. Quote question mark 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 question mark. What was that just now? What on earth is that? Why does it look like a mosaic? I can't even see it clearly. Although I can't see it clearly, I can see that it is a human figure, and there is a pair of eyes emitting white light. Is that the white-eyed monster? What the hell is going on? Why can't the live camera capture him? He only appeared for a second, and he killed Brother Mang instantly. Too cruel. Why? Why can't the camera capture him? FK. Could that white-eyed monster be a ghost? Quote. At this moment, if the players could see the appearance of the white-eyed monster, then at most everyone would just be scared. But the footage just now did capture the monster. But the players couldn't see what he looked like at all. The whole body of the white-eyed monster looked like it was covered with a mosaic. I couldn't see his face clearly at all. One can only vaguely judge his figure from the general outline. The reason why players were able to be sure that the monster that just appeared was the white-eyed monster was because of those eyes. Even though covered with thick mosaic, the pair of eyes emitting white light were still obvious. It is this fuzzy feeling that seems to be neither shape nor shadow that sends chills down players' spines. People often fear the unknown. At this moment, the white-eyed monster represents the unknown fear to the players. Steve was also stunned after seeing the scene just now. It took me a long time to come back to my senses. At this moment, he was more certain of his guess. That white-eyed monster is definitely not an ordinary monster. He is a special existence. Otherwise, how is it possible that the built-in live broadcast system of the game can't capture him? After Steve thought of this, he didn't dare to think about it any further. He had too many questions in his mind about this monster. What is he? What other abilities does he have? What motivated his behavior? Since he could control the monsters, why didn't he directly control the monsters to kill Brother Mang, but instead let the monsters stop attacking? Although Steve had thousands of questions when facing this monster with white eyes, at the moment, he didn't have time to think about them. At this moment, he, or rather, all the players who moved here to live, were facing life-threatening danger. Since the white-eyed monster has come here, he must have a purpose for coming here. Since he first appeared, he has slaughtered 4 people. Steve was lucky before, probably because he looked like a monster. Just escaped one section. However, the monster comes back again, and it is estimated that Steve will not have the same luck as last time. When Steve thought of this, he immediately rushed out the door. It's not safe here. Everyone, pack up your things and don't stay here. Run. Steve urged as he frantically opened each player's door. After Steve's actions, all the players living in this grassland stood up. However, not all players listened to the advice. Players have more or less watched Brother Mang's live broadcast. Although many players felt a little scared after watching the live broadcast, they always felt that moving just because of a monster was a bit unnecessary. Besides, there are so many players gathered here, and there is strength in numbers. Maybe we can fight against the monster. I also watched the live broadcast. It seems that the monster has no other skills except controlling monsters and explosions. It's just that he suddenly appears and makes people feel scared. There are so many of us, so there's no need to be afraid of him, right? Yeah, it's just one life, right? We can make mistakes 10,000 times, but if the monster makes one mistake, he's dead. I still want to take a gamble. After all, if I kill such a powerful monster, I should be able to get a lot of goodies, right? Instead of running, why not prepare yourself and fight him head-on? A chance and the bicycle will turn into a motorcycle. Check out our playlist for more amazing novels. Chapter 11 Know Yourself and Know Your Enemy. In fact, the player's idea is very simple, just to take a chance. After all, players don't have anything valuable right now. Even if that white-eyed monster comes looking for us, it's just a matter of one life. Anyway, this life will die if it encounters a zombie, it will die if it encounters a white-eyed monster, and it will also die if it encounters a zombie. It makes no difference to the players where they die. If we stay, with the strength of so many people, we might be able to fight the monster head-on. If we can kill that monster, the rewards will definitely be huge. To put it bluntly, the players just rely on strength in numbers. If there were only a few players here, they would have definitely run away. At this moment, most players choose to stay and fight the white-eyed monster. This also made a few players waver and they didn't want to leave anymore. Players naturally want to get a piece of the pie. Although I just watched Brother Meng's live broadcast, I felt that the monster with white eyes was very weird. But they certainly don't know as much information as Steve. Although the behavior patterns of the white-eyed monsters are somewhat unpredictable to players. But they still think that the white-eyed monster is just a monster in the game. Maybe because of a bug or some other reason, he cannot be seen in the live broadcast room. Since it's a monster, just kill it with all your might. At this point, almost all players are ready to stay and fight. Only a few of Steve's good friends still insisted on standing on the same front with Steve. After all, they had seen the deep pit dug by the white-eyed monster before. They also knew very well that even if they had more people, they would probably not be a match for that monster. Because that monster can think. If it is just about strength, there is indeed a chance to compete with it by relying on human wave tactics. But that monster is not only powerful, but can also think. He has his own thinking, and he will judge and respond based on the player's reactions. In this case, the player's chances of winning are slim. Brother, what should we do? Should we go on our own? Leave them alone. They really don't know what they are facing. Even if they have more people, they have almost no chance of winning. Indeed. Besides, these people don't have much equipment. It would be difficult for them to face ordinary monsters, let alone him. Quote. Steve felt relieved to see that his friends were all sober. After thinking for a while, Steve finally made a decision. Let's stay here too. After hearing what Steve said, all the friends were a little confused. Why should we follow them to die? Yeah, these people have nothing to do with us. Brother, do you think these people are a match for that monster? After hearing what his friends said, Steve shook his head. These people are naturally no match for him. Now we have nothing to worry about and can leave whenever we want. But in the future, we will meet him again. Then we can abandon everything and just go away, right? We will have to fight him one day. It's just like this, it's better to know yourself and the enemy first. Steve also has his own considerations, since this white-eyed monster has come to this land again. After that, there will be more opportunities for collision. Now that everyone has little equipment or supplies, they can indeed just leave. But in the future, with a guild, a base, and our own supplies, can we still retreat easily? Why not take this time when you have no worries and learn more about that monster? At least you know what he can and cannot do, and whether he has any weaknesses. In this way, you won't always be in a passive position. After hearing what Steve said, his friends thought about it for a moment and felt that what Steve said made sense. Indeed, when encountering difficulties and dangers, we cannot just think about escaping, but must find ways to face and overcome them. Okay, then stay and meet him. Then I'll go hide the iron ingots and food first. Well, bury the box underground, hide it deeper, he will explode. Quote. After his friends started to get busy, Steve also began to mobilize other players. If you really want to fight it, then build a high wall around it, with several layers of walls. That monster will control other monsters. If we surround it, it will at least hinder them. Steve's thinking is still very clear and he knows how to prescribe the right medicine. But he also knew that doing so would have little effect. But it's better than doing nothing. When the players saw that Steve had changed his mind, they felt a little more relieved. After all, Steve is a big shot, and everyone will feel more confident with him around. Under Steve's guidance, the players began to work together to defend the game. At this moment, on the other side of the grassland, Xu Yuan looked at the corpse of Brother Meng in front of him, which had not disappeared yet, thoughtfully. Xu Yuan heard everything that Brother Meng just said to the live broadcast room. He also got a message from Brother Meng's words. That was the grassland before, and many players came. This is undoubtedly good news for Xu Yuan. Xu Yuan was worried about not being able to find a player, but unexpectedly one appeared right at his doorstep. Thinking of this, Xu Yuan immediately started heading towards the grassland. It took us almost half an hour to walk the distance by teleporting and hurrying. Finally, I saw the player's base lit up by torches. Xu Yuan also immediately noticed the player's movements. Are you preparing for my arrival? At this moment, the players are working hard to build a stone wall to surround the entire base. Xu Yuan was not stupid either. Since he knew that Brother Mang was broadcasting live just now, he must have been seen by many people just now. What Xu Yuan didn't expect was that this group of players actually overestimated their own abilities and wanted to compete with him. But if you think about it, you can understand the players' thoughts. They must think of themselves as some special monsters. Then let them experience the dangers of society. Although Xu Yuan's teleportation and explosion skills have cooling time, but it is still easy to deal with this group of players. Because Xu Yuan has a very useful skill at present, stealth. Can hide among rocks. Xu Yuan only needs to use a set of skills and then hide in the rocks, and then come out after the cooldown. The stone wall that players built to defend against Xu Yuan directly became the best cover for Xu Yuan because of this skill. Furthermore, even without the protection of the stone wall, Xu Yuan doesn't have to worry. Because Xu Yuan was very familiar with the terrain of the grassland before, there were only 2 to 3 layers of soil, and the bottom was all rocks. Xu Yuan only needs to explode once to hide among the rocks below. Therefore, even if there are more players, they are no match for Xu Yuan. The players who are busy at the moment have no idea that the wall they are building will become a cage that will trap them to death. Chapter 12 The battle with the white-eyed monster is about to begin. When Xu Yuan arrived, the players' city walls on the grassland were almost completed. The city wall is 20 grids high and has 3 layers. There are also sentry posts on the city walls. It's just a matchbox with a window, but it works. One has to sigh that there is strength in numbers, such a large-scale city wall was built so quickly. Steve also arranged some players with bows and arrows to stand guard on the city wall. After the players finished the work, they were quite satisfied when they saw the city wall that was built with the joint efforts of everyone. Many people also followed Brother Meng's example and started live broadcasts on the forum. Prepare for battle against the white-eyed monster. Closing square bracket. The battle of the white-eyed monsters is about to begin. Closing square bracket. The city wall is built, and we are just waiting for the white-eyed monster to come and kill us. Closing square bracket. The forum was flooded with all kinds of attractive live broadcast room titles. Players in the forum also naturally clicked into the relevant live broadcast room. After all, what happened in Brother Meng's live broadcast room just now caused quite a stir. Players were all surprised after seeing the walls built by these players in the live broadcast room. Wow, such high walls, and watchtowers. Looks like they're serious. I roughly counted them, and there are more than 100 of them in total. If they work together, can't they defeat a monster? That monster seems to be able to control other monsters and cause explosions, right? With this wall, it will be difficult for other monsters to get in. The explosion is easy to deal with. Just keep a certain distance from it, just like the crawler. What is the 4th calamity? This is the 4th calamity. There's nothing to be afraid of with a monster with white eyes. I can still beat him until he rolls his eyes. Damn it, I kind of regret it. If I had known earlier, I would have gone over there too. Quote. Steve and his team's actions undoubtedly gave many players confidence. The player can be said to be the 4th calamity in the game. Although the players' equipment are relatively poor now, as long as they work together, nothing can stump them. The matter of the white-eyed monster continues to ferment on the internet. More and more players entered the live broadcast room. Players were also cheering for Steve and his team in the live broadcast room. The players on the grassland became more and more confident after seeing the encouraging words from the players in the live broadcast room. Even if they couldn't deal with this monster, so many people saw the current situation. More people will join them in the future. If 100 people can't defeat this monster, then bring 1,000. If 1,000 are not enough, then try 10,000. Anyway, there is no shortage of players in the game. As long as everyone works together, there is nothing that cannot be dealt with. The entire game world belongs to the players. How can a monster turn the world upside down? Brothers, just do it. Whether we can become famous in one battle depends on today. No matter what kind of monster he is, we have to let him experience what the 4th calamity is. You're the one with the white eyes, right? If you dare to come, I'll beat you until you roll your eyes. Quote. At this moment, the morale of the players on the grassland is high. Originally, they had no idea what was going on. After the city wall was built, the players in the live broadcast room boasted about it and they instantly became proud. I don't even know my own weight anymore. The players were all so excited as if they were injected with chicken blood, but Steve was not infected by them at all. Because he knew very well that he could not win this battle. The more excited and thrilled the players are now, the more frustrated they will be in a while. But Steve didn't know what to say. Everyone was excited, and Steve certainly wouldn't pour cold water on them in front of them. At this moment, Xu Yuan, who was hiding in the stone wall, could hear clearly the players' discussions and arrogant speeches. At this moment, Xu Yuan really wanted to slap these players in the face. But reason made him stop taking action. With just these few people, it doesn't seem worth it to kill them all. Xu Yuan had just counted them and there were more than 100 people inside the city wall. The kill value of these players should not be high. After all, they spend their nights in the matchbox, and just pick up mist monsters and kill them during the day. How many kill points can they get? Even if you kill all these players, the kill value would probably be less than 3,000. This time, the kill value I got was not as much as an hour of clearing the monster tower. This deal is definitely not worth it. We have to think of a way to get more people here. These players are like sparks, and Xu Yuan can indeed kill them easily. But if you kill them, the fire will be extinguished. Many players are broadcasting live, if this time they kill all of them without leaving a single one behind. It is estimated that no player will set foot in this place anymore. The main reason is that Xu Yuan currently has no way to hack into the network, and he doesn't know where the majority of players gather. If all the players here were killed, it would be difficult for Xu Yuan to find players gathered together. After all, the game world is so big. Therefore, for long-term development, this spark must be preserved. Even if you want to extinguish the fire, you have to wait until the fire is big enough to maximize the benefits. After thinking about this, Xu Yuan pondered for a moment. If you want more players to come here, you have to make them feel that they can handle themselves. In this case, the players can only win this battle. Moreover, we cannot let them win easily. We must make them suffer heavy casualties and win narrowly. Make them feel that they are capable of defeating you, but they just don't have enough numbers. In this way, more players will definitely gather here. Looks like we have to put on a show. Although the idea is very clear. But if you want the players to win, you can't reveal too many flaws. This really gave Xu Yuan a headache. You can't be halfway through killing the enemies, then deliberately get hit by the other players and then run away, right? This acting is too poor. Xu Yuan thought about it for a long time, but still couldn't come up with any good ideas. Since deliberately letting it go doesn't work, how about creating a weakness for yourself out of nothing? After thinking about this, Xu Yuan suddenly felt that this method was feasible. Monsters in MC all have their own weaknesses. Zombies and Xiaobai are afraid of light, Kuli is afraid of cats, Xiaohei is afraid of water, etc. These monsters all have their own weaknesses. Since players regard Xu Yuan as a monster, why can't I have a weakness? After coming to his senses, Xu Yuan immediately began to recall the various supplies within the players' city walls. You must look for your own weaknesses in the supplies that the other players have. Xu Yuan carefully recalled the scene inside the players' base that he had just seen. To be honest, there's really nothing special about it. It's nothing more than farmland, livestock, and piles of matchboxes. Of course, there is no need to consider building blocks, after all, they are inanimate objects. That would leave only the livestock. No matter how great the devil Xu Yuan is, he wouldn't be afraid of pigs, cows, sheep, chickens and other harmless livestock, right? Xu Yuan had completely ruined the devil's reputation. Xu Yuan was thinking about this when he suddenly heard two wolf howls coming from inside the city wall. Xu Yuan suddenly had an idea. Got it. Is it normal for a monster like me to be afraid of wolves? Chapter 13 Mosaic. Mosaic is coming. In MC, there is a chance that you can tame wolves by feeding them bones. After being tamed, they will follow the players and help them fight monsters. In fact, after being tamed, it is still a wolf, but it will become very obedient. Players can also control it to sit and stand. So players will affectionately call them dogs. Since Xu Yuan has made up his mind to perform a play, he naturally needs the good actor, the tamed wolf. Wolves are also ferocious animals, so it's normal to be afraid of them, right? Furthermore, there were limited actors within the city walls, and Xu Yuan had no choice. Now that the decision has been made, Xu Yuan is ready to start implementing it. First, control some monsters to come over and pretend. Although Xu Yuan will definitely lose this battle, he still has to make sure he has a good hand no matter what. From Mangi's live broadcast just now, players should have guessed that Xu Yuan can control monsters. That's why Brother Mang ran away in such a panic. Since it is a skill known to players, there is no need for Xu Yuan to hide it. It is necessary to create some monsters to create an atmosphere. After thinking about this, Xu Yuan cancelled his stealth mode, bypassed the players on the sentry tower, and began to gather monsters around him. Although Xu Yuan has activated monster control, it is only within a 15x15 range. The range is still too small, so if you want to gather monsters, you can only go to more places yourself. Fortunately, this area is vast and has many monsters. After a short while, Xu Yuan gathered a lot of monsters. After gathering all the monsters to the near side, Xu Yuan led the monsters and headed towards the wall openly. At this moment, above the city wall, a player with the ID Wenyi was having a great time chatting with his friends in the live broadcast room. Brothers, we've been waiting for so long, but the monster hasn't come yet. Are you scared? Wenyi was boasting proudly when the barrage of comments in the live broadcast room suddenly exploded. Mosaic is coming. What the hell? Here it comes. That white-eyed monster is coming. Hiss, so many followers behind him. What a situation. It came over here so blatantly. It really doesn't take his players seriously. Quote. Seeing the comments in the live broadcast room, Wenyi then noticed the movements outside the city wall. Outside the city wall, a large group of monsters surrounded the white-eyed monster and came towards them aggressively. Although Wenyi was in the watchtower, he knew that these monsters could not hurt him. But seeing this scene still shocked him, he hurriedly shouted behind him. He's coming, and he's bringing a bunch of monsters with him. The players inside the city wall were all shocked when they heard this. Although they were prepared for a long time, they were still a little nervous after hearing the news. The scene inside the city wall at this moment is somewhat funny. Just now, this group of people were talking nonsense, saying that they would behead the white-eyed monster as a warning to others. At this moment, the monster really came, and they began to run around like headless flies. After all, these players are just individual players and have no organizational discipline. When faced with such a situation, I naturally don't know what to do. After hearing Wenyi's words, Steve immediately felt that something was wrong. Just like that, although Steve didn't know much about the white-eyed monster, after these few encounters, Steve felt that the white-eyed monster was still very cautious. From his thoughts after he first met Steve, to his decision not to alert other monsters after he met Brother Man. All of these can illustrate this point. But at this moment, this monster actually came over so blatantly. Is it because they didn't expect the players to rebel? Steve was thinking, but his thoughts were interrupted by the noise of the players around him. What should we do now? Should we guard the door or something? The arrows are being fired from the sentry tower. What are you still standing there for? Did he bring the crawlers with him as well? Can we protect our city walls? Quote. Seeing the looks of the players, Steve couldn't help but frown. They still want to deal with the white-eyed monster in this state. I guess they would be thrown into disarray if a few monsters came in. Seeing this, Steve sighed and didn't think about it anymore. Anyway, now that I'm here, I'll meet him. Thinking of this, Steve immediately took command. Wenyi, report the situation of the monsters below. After hearing what Steve said, Wenyi glanced at the monsters outside the wall, counted them roughly in a panic, and immediately reported. There are about 60 zombies, 20 skeleton shooters, and 11 crawlers down there. After hearing Wenyi's report, Steve immediately began to give orders. Wenyi, you and the guys on the sentry tower shoot downwards together. There aren't many arrows, so use them sparingly. The primary target is the crawler. Hey, you and your men should guard the steps over there on the wall. If you raise the steps high, the zombies won't be able to hit you. Xiao Li, take your men to guard the city wall. If you find it has been blown up, quickly find a way to repair the wall and try to let only one monster in at a time. The rest of you who have bows and arrows, aim at the door. If any skeleton archers come in, shoot immediately. Steve's mind is still clear and his command ability is also very good. But he knew that doing so would only trap ordinary monsters. It would definitely be impossible to trap that white-eyed monster. However, as long as you slowly consume those ordinary monsters, the white-eyed monster will definitely appear. This way Steve can study his abilities. Under Steve's command, this group of individual players also became united. They all stayed at their posts in an orderly manner. At this moment, the players in the live broadcast room couldn't help but sigh when they saw this scene. Boss Steve is really something. His ideas are clear and organized, and his command is really great. This way, the monsters won't be cleared out and will be killed quickly. Since there are people standing in the sentry tower, why don't they attack the white-eyed monster? Can't they just shoot it to death from a distance? How can it be that easy? That monster is quite capable and will definitely dodge the arrows. Indeed, Steve, this deployment is the best solution at the moment. Attacking the crawlers can prevent them from blowing up the wall. Steve's command was also recognized by the majority of netizens. Seeing such a clear-headed commander in charge, the players are full of confidence. I feel like this battle is a sure win. After hearing Steve's command, Wenyi immediately drew his bow and aimed at the creepers in the group of monsters outside the city wall. After aiming at the creeper, I estimated the trajectory and shooting distance and used full attack. With a slight release of the hand, the arrow whizzed through the air and flew away. The damage of the arrow will vary according to the speed and altitude, the altitude at which the text is located. As long as you aim accurately, you can definitely kill the creeper with one shot. Wenyi is most proud of his archery skills. This attack can definitely kill a creeper. After the arrow was shot, Wenyi's eyes followed the arrow. It seemed that he was about to shoot a creeper among the group of monsters. But I didn't expect that the white-eyed monster would suddenly stand in front of the creeper. Wen was delighted by the situation. Isn't this delivered to your door? But before Wenyi's mouth could fully rise, it immediately turned into a big O shape. The arrow did hit the white-eyed monster. But this attack did not cause any damage to the white-eyed monster. The arrow was bounced off the moment it touched the white-eyed monster's body. Quote question mark question mark question mark question mark question mark question mark quote. Did I see it right? He bounced the arrow off. Chapter 14. This monster also understands tactics. Wenyi watched helplessly as the arrow he shot was bounced off, and he was completely stunned. He seemed a little unable to believe the facts before him. The scene just now was naturally seen by the players in the live broadcast room. Although players cannot see the appearance of the white-eyed monster clearly, they can clearly see the arrow being bounced back. At this moment, the players in the live broadcast room felt the same way and were all stunned. After a while, the barrage of comments exploded. Quote question mark 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 quote. What the hell? It bounced. Immune to arrow damage. So strong. You're so powerful, right? Hiss. How many skills does this monster have? I'm not surprised that the arrow bounced off. What makes my scalp tingle is that he actually helped the crawler to block the arrow. Indeed, this shows that he does have a mind. He knows better than us how important the crawlers are to this battle. This battle feels difficult. Although many players were shocked by the arrows bouncing off, this result was not actually that unexpected. After all, the white-eyed monster is considered a boss-level monster in the eyes of players. Although he has many skills, being immune to arrow damage is not a very impressive skill. What shocked the players even more than deflecting the arrows was that the white-eyed monster actually helped the creeper take the damage. If he were just an ordinary monster, he would definitely not help the creeper to take the damage. Since he did this, it can only prove one thing. That's what Steve said, he does have thoughts. He knew very well how important Creeper was to this battle, so he helped Creeper block the damage. The players in the live broadcast room were full of confidence when they saw the high wall and powerful command. At this moment, I feel that this battle is a bit suspenseful. The strength of the white-eyed monster is unfathomable, and no one knows how many hidden skills he has yet to release. Coupled with his thinking ability, this battle was destined to be extremely brutal. As the players in the live broadcast room were discussing, Wenyi finally came to his senses. He immediately shouted towards the city wall. We can't kill the creeper. That monster will help the creeper block damage. And he can also bounce arrows. When everyone inside the city wall heard this, they all gasped. It can also deflect arrows. If we don't kill those crawlers, they will blow us in soon. Damn, this monster is so strong it's a bit abnormal. Quote. Steve was not too surprised when he heard Wenyi's words. This was all within Steve's expectations. The white-eyed monster is capable of thinking, and he naturally knows the importance of Creeper to this battle. Steve thought for a moment and immediately gave the order. The people on the sentry tower attack together every time. Even if he can block them, he can only block one at a time. It doesn't matter if we can't kill the crawlers, we'll kill whatever we can. There are 3 people in the watchtower, all of whom are players with good archery skills. After hearing Steve's command, the players immediately began to implement it. 3 arrows were shot down at the same time. They fell on a zombie, a creeper and a whitebait respectively. As Steve expected, the white-eyed monster only blocked the arrow shot at the creeper. The zombies and Xiaobai who were shot by arrows were killed instantly. The players on the watchtower were all excited when they saw this. Done. Like to block damage. If you can, why don't you just clone yourself? Keep attacking like this. Try to aim at the crawlers. Quote. The players were very happy to see that Steve's tactics were successful. They immediately launched a new round of attacks. After another round of attack, the monster camp directly lost 2 creepers. Just when the players on the watchtower were preparing to launch the third round of attack, they discovered that the monsters had already arrived at the foot of the city wall. At this moment, the monsters are already in the blind spot of the watchtower. The players on the watchtower can no longer attack the monsters. Wen Yi saw the situation and hurriedly reported the battle situation. They've reached the foot of the city wall. We can't attack them. After hearing Wen Yi's words, the players inside the city wall swallowed nervously. The monsters are already outside the city wall and will soon try to break through it. The real battle is about to begin. At this moment, Steve was sweating in his hands, as he was about to face that monster with white eyes again. It would be a lie to say I wasn't nervous. Although there are no external factors such as equipment and supplies to worry about at the moment, Steve is still very panicked when facing such an unknown monster. Steve pulled himself together and then immediately went into combat mode. Everyone, stay at your respective posts. Don't panic. Attention, those who are repairing the city wall. You must be quick and swift. Don't be nervous, everyone. You should know that we can be resurrected infinitely. And monsters only have one life. Although Steve knew that it was impossible to win this battle, he still had to boost the morale of the troops when the war was about to break out. After hearing what Steve said, the players all relaxed a lot. Yes, we can be resurrected infinitely, what are we afraid of? We can make countless mistakes, but he can only make one mistake. Brothers, don't be afraid when you see the white-eyed monster, just run away and you'll be done. Quote. Inside the city walls, players encouraged each other and the morale was high. The players were also ready for the battle, and they all focused their attention on the city wall in front of them. And just like that, several minutes passed. There was still no movement outside the city wall. Many players suddenly couldn't hold it anymore. What's going on? Why is there no movement? I'm afraid he ran away. Shouldn't it be? Did Wen Yi also give us some news? Quote. Just as the players were discussing, only a few loud, bang bang bang, noises were heard outside the city wall. Then, 4 parts of the city wall were blown up at the same time. Before the players inside the city wall had time to react, they saw monsters pouring in from the cracked holes in the wall. When the players saw this, they were all stunned. Why did it come from 4 places? It's over. We are being surrounded. Damn it. Where are the people repairing the wall? Repair it quickly. Quote. Everyone naturally thought that the monster would only bomb one place, but they didn't expect that the white-eyed monster didn't play according to the routine. It blew up everything everywhere at the same time, catching the players off guard. At this moment, the netizens in the live broadcast room felt a chill in their hearts when they saw this. It's over. If it explodes like this, there will be no time to repair the wall. Hiss. This monster also knows tactics. This is outrageous. We took it for granted. Apparently, that white-eyed monster is more powerful than us. Quote. Chapter 15. More than 90 to 1, the chances of winning are very high. The players inside the city wall were thrown into disarray by this sudden change. Everyone started to get busy. The players who were repairing the wall did not expect that the monster would blow out 4 exits at the same time, and they had no time to repair the holes. This also caused more and more monsters to pour in. Seeing this, Steve frowned and clenched his fists even tighter. I knew it wouldn't be that easy. Steve also made an empiricist mistake. He did not expect that the white-eyed monster would attack from all directions at the same time. After all, I underestimated the ability of the white-eyed monster. His thinking and strategy are indeed superior to Steve's. But there was one thing Steve couldn't understand. Since this white-eyed monster knows how to break through the city wall from all directions at the same time, then why not choose to attack from 4 directions? In this way, the players will be directly surrounded by monsters. Wouldn't it be faster to win this way? Maybe he didn't expect it. Just like Steve himself, it was only when he saw the white-eyed monsters attacking from all sides at the same time that he remembered that the other 3 sides of the city wall were not defended. This was also Steve's negligence. After all, time was urgent and there would always be things that were not considered carefully. Steve didn't think anymore and immediately began to take control of the situation. Don't panic, everyone. Remember your own mission. Players on the stairs, don't be afraid. Zombies can't attack you. Archers prioritize attacking creepers and skeletons. Those who are repairing the wall, hurry up and get in position. Quote. Although the monsters poured in from 4 entrances, they were all in one direction. Players just need to make slight adjustments. These individual players are not novices, they just lack the ability to respond on the spot. If someone gave them instructions, they would immediately cheer up again. Soon, under Steve's command, the players began to fight the monsters in an orderly manner. After about 10 minutes, there was a fight. The city walls were littered with monster corpses and dropped supplies. The players won a great victory in this battle. Most of the attacking monsters this time were zombies, and there were only about 20 of them. A lot of them were consumed by the creepers in blowing up the city walls, so only a few of them were able to come in. For players, creepers are the biggest threat to them. So once a creeper enters the city wall, Steve immediately instructs the players to shoot it. Next is Xiao Bai. The same method is used to deal with it. Shoot it immediately after discovering it. After killing these difficult monsters, only the clumsy zombies will be left. As long as players stand at a height of more than 2 blocks, zombies will not be able to attack them at all. It was a one-sided massacre. Although some players died in this firefight, there were only about 10 of them. It's already a very good result. Seeing the monster corpses and dropped items scattered throughout the city walls, the players felt a sense of pride. Great! All these little Luos have been killed. We didn't lose many brothers in the battle. This battle was worth it. There are still more than 90 people left. Can't we defeat a monster? Brothers, keep fighting with this morale. Defeat the white-eyed monster. Quote. Since the game is still in its early stages, players are just beginning to figure out some basic gameplay. Although I can barely fight the monsters, when facing a group of monsters, I can only run away. Players have not yet figured out methods to defeat monsters, such as pedicure. So players will naturally feel complacent after killing so many monsters at once. At this moment, the players in the live broadcast room were all very happy to see such a battle situation. Awesome. We've taken care of all these little brothers. I checked and saw that not many people died. I think there's hope. More than a chance. With over 90 to 1, the chances of winning are still very high. Yeah, and with Steve here, it should be a sure win, right? Seeing the complacent players, Steve couldn't help but sigh. Laugh, you won't be able to laugh for a while. Steve knew that these monsters were just appetizers. The real tough guy has not yet appeared. Once he showed up, these people couldn't laugh anymore. Although he knew he couldn't win the battle, Steve still didn't forget his goal. The reason why Steve stayed here was that he wanted to know more about the white-eyed monster. After thinking about this, Steve continued to direct everyone. Everyone, don't gather together. Spread out. That monster will use explosive skills. Pay attention to the movements in all directions. Archers, change your weapons. Bows and arrows are useless against him. Don't be afraid, just attack him at close range if you meet him. Quote. Although Steve doesn't expect the players to be able to do anything to him. But after all, there are so many people, and being able to force the white-eyed monster to use some skills is considered a success. Only by understanding him better can we find a way to defeat him. After the recent victory, the players have more trust in Steve. They immediately began to implement Steve's deployment. After a while, the players formed teams of 2 to 3 people and spread all over the city wall. Each team maintains a certain distance from each other, so even if a player from one team is killed, it will not affect players from other teams. Shortly after the players were deployed, they heard a scream. Ah! As soon as the scream died down, a loud explosion followed. The players heard the sound and looked in the direction of the explosion. At this time, there were only 2 players' bodies and a deep pit that was blown out. Quote. What happened just now? Is he here? Quote. Because everything happened so fast, the players didn't even know what was happening. After a while, a group of players next to the 2 players who had just been killed in the explosion spoke tremblingly. He's here. I saw it. I don't know where he came from. He just appeared out of nowhere. Then it exploded and suddenly disappeared. Since this group of players was closest to the two dead players, they saw everything that just happened. There was only less than 2 seconds between the time they discovered the monster and the monster exploded and disappeared. Before the brain could react, the monster disappeared. This scene undoubtedly brought a huge impact to this group of players. And it just so happened that one of the players in this group was live streaming. This scene was also captured by the players in the live broadcast room. What was that just now? What the hell is this skill? Teleport. Invisibility. Hiss. With his strength, even if 900 more people come, they will all be courting death. Game designer, come out, this is the monster you designed. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 16 I finally found you. After the small victory against those little monsters, the players' self-confidence has undoubtedly increased a lot. This also gave them the illusion that they could compete with the white-eyed monster. But at this moment, the white-eyed monster appeared and took away the two people quietly. The action was so fast that the players couldn't even see it clearly. In less than a second, 2 people were slaughtered. This is when the players are not gathering together. If the players gathered together, these 90+ people would probably be knocked down in less than a minute. And there is also the possibility that you will die inexplicably without even seeing the monster. At this moment, the players realized their arrogance. Facing such a powerful and cunning monster, no matter how many people there are, it will be useless. Having more people will only slow down the speed of being wiped out. After what happened just now, the players suddenly fell into panic. At this moment, the monsters are in the dark and they are in the light. Although everyone knows very well that it is just a matter of life. But to say I'm not afraid would be a lie. Anyone would feel scared in this situation. Damn it. Where is he hiding? What kind of skill is this? Invisibility. White-eyed monster. Come out and fight me head on if you can. Don't try to sneak attack me. Quote. Steve frowned after hearing the players' descriptions. The strength of the white-eyed monster is unfathomable. In just one encounter, he used at least 2 abilities. Steve didn't know where this monster was hiding. But I guess it should be a skill like invisibility. After thinking about this, Steve immediately gave instructions to the players. He should have a skill like invisibility. Everyone raise your hands and swing your weapons forward. If that white-eyed monster really has the ability to turn invisible, it will definitely approach the player in stealth before the next attack. If players swing their weapons, they might be able to hit him. After hearing Steve's command, the players immediately began to swing their weapons in the air. Players thought this approach would work. Less than half a minute later, another scream was heard, followed by another loud explosion. Another team of players died. This time, the players around the dead players didn't even catch a glimpse of the monster. He is like a ghost, appearing and disappearing mysteriously. Damn it. How on earth did he show up? My arms are sore from swinging my weapons, but it's useless. Is he immune to sword damage? Isn't this too outrageous? Quote. The death of that team of players just now also confirmed that the strategy Steve just gave was useless. Even if the player swings the sword until his arms are broken, it will have no effect and the person will still die. The atmosphere of death permeated the entire city walls. The players' confidence has all hit rock bottom at this moment. At this moment, the players finally realized how huge the gap was between themselves and the monster. Not to mention hurting him in the slightest, they didn't even have the right to see what he looked like. After thinking about this, the players' morale was completely broken. Many players have already begun to think about giving up. At this moment, the players' eyes were all on Steve. After all, Steve was the commander-in-chief of this battle, and the players killed those little Luo-Luos in an orderly manner because they listened to him. If even Steve is powerless to save the situation, then the players will completely give up. Steve felt helpless when he saw the looks from the players. This battle was impossible to win in the first place, and it was already great that the players were able to kill those little monsters. Although he already knew the outcome, Steve was still frustrated. He never expected that the situation would turn out like this after the monster appeared. Not to mention the ability to fight back, those who died didn't even know what the enemy looked like or what had happened. This disparity in strength cannot be made up by numbers. While Steve was thinking, there was another loud noise. Another team was killed on the field. The loud noise was like the death knell for all the players present. The players' confidence was instantly crushed. FK. If you want to kill him, just kill him now. It's really G tortus to do it this way. Damn it. I can't hold it any longer. I'm going to dig 3 and fill 1. What's the point of digging 3 and filling 1? We will still be bombed. Then raise it up. Add a few layers, so it won't explode, right? Quote. At this moment, the players have either given up resisting or just want to die quickly. Or trying to save your life. At this moment, although the players in the live broadcast room were not in the scene in person, they all felt suffocated through the screen. Damn it, this monster is so powerful, why does he take so long to kill people? Can't he just kill them quickly? Some animals don't kill their prey immediately after catching them. Instead, they play with them to death and then slowly enjoy them. Do you understand? It's so damn hopeless, death can't even give me a quick death. He really has a mind, otherwise how could he play tricks on these people like this? This monster really has a bad taste. Does he really enjoy seeing others in despair? Quote. Steve was helpless when he saw this. He was really in a dead end. It seems impossible to force the white-eyed monster to use more skills. These people pose no threat to the white-eyed monster at all. And looking at the frequency with which he kills, it seems more like he is playing a trick on the players. This is the most uncomfortable thing. At this moment, Steve was ready to accept his fate. At this moment, suddenly a few wolf howls were heard. The sudden wolf howl scared the players. The players looked in the direction of the sound and found that it was the cry of a wolf tamed by a player with the ID Li Wei. The tamed wolf was seen sniffing a pile of rocks in front of it and barking at them. Ergo, are you scared, silly? Why are you yelling? You scared me to death. Hurry and sit down. Seeing this, Li Wei thought something was wrong with the cat, so he pulled its collar, trying to make it sit down. But no matter how Li Wei ordered his dog, it didn't obey. After being tamed, the wolves in the original MC will obey commands to sit down and stand up, and will attack targets together with the players. In this game, tamed wolves have been modified. Added a monster detection function. If the monster is within 5 blocks of the player, the wolf will sound the alarm. This is equivalent to rationalizing some of the settings of the original game. Li Wei kept ordering Ergo to sit down. At this moment, a glimmer of hope appeared on Steve's face. Finally found you. Chapter 17. Something is wrong. It's so abnormal. Li Wei didn't react to what was going on and thought it was Ergo barking. But Steve, who was sensitive to the game, knew that Ergo was definitely not barking randomly. Seeing this, Steve immediately asked several other players with wolves to gather over. You all let the wolf go to Ergo's place. After hearing this, the players immediately did as they were told. After a few wolves gathered together, it turned out to be just as Steve expected. Like Ergo, they all started shouting at the pile of rocks. At this moment, some players finally realized what was going on. That monster, could it be inside this stone? I remember that tamed wolves will detect monsters within 5 blocks of the player. He must be in there. Hiss. So he has been hiding in the stone all this time. Shit. Is this a monster or a monkey? Quote. At this moment, the continuous howling of wolves is as sweet as the song of hope. Although the players are very clear about the gap in strength between themselves and the white-eyed monster. But at least now we have found the trace of the monster, which is a breakthrough. It is better than waiting to die in despair. Although I have roughly guessed that the white-eyed monster is hiding among the rocks. But the players still dare not act rashly. No one dared to get too close to the pile of rocks. They all kept a distance and began to discuss countermeasures. We know where he is. What should we do now? How do we deal with him? Can he handle it? He has explosive skills, so it's hard for us to get close to him, right? The main thing is that arrows can't hurt him. It's unbearable. How about we use the human wave tactic? All of us should go and guard him, and when he comes out, rush over and attack him before he has time to hide behind the rocks again. What's the use? When we run up to him, he will hide again. Quote. The players discussed for a long time but could not come up with a solution. There is currently no solution to deal with the white-eyed monster. The main reason is that players know too little about him, and no one knows whether he has any hidden skills. At this moment, inside a pile of rocks surrounded by tamed wolves. Although Xu Yuan was inside a pile of rocks, he could still hear the sounds from the outside world clearly. Xu Yuan was also a little surprised. He didn't expect that there would be changes to the tamed wolves in this game. Wolves can actually detect their own location. However, this accident helped Xu Yuan a lot. Xu Yuan was worried that he couldn't find a reasonable reason to go out and act. I didn't expect these wolf cub actors to take the initiative to add more scenes for themselves. Xu Yuan also took advantage of this momentum to continue acting. Thinking of this, Xu Yuan immediately revealed himself and stood on the pile of rocks. After seeing Xu Yuan, the wolf cubs around the pile of rocks all cooperated with the performance very well. They howled even louder. The players were arguing over countermeasures, but when they heard the wolf howling becoming increasingly louder, they all turned their eyes to the pile of rocks. At this moment, they finally saw the appearance of the white-eyed monster. It was indeed a face exactly like Steve's. But his temperament is very different from Steve's. The whole person exudes a fierce aura. Just by standing there, he made people feel an invisible sense of oppression. Coupled with the pair of eyes emitting white light, it immediately makes people feel chilly. After seeing the real culprit, the players were all a little frightened and stood there in a daze for a while. He came out. What should I do now? Damn it. It's just a monster, come on everyone. Go ahead if you want to do it. Also, why are your legs shaking? Quote. At this moment, the players stared at each other, but no one had the courage to step forward. Although the players made all kinds of bold statements before seeing the white-eyed monster. But when I really faced him, I was instantly filled with fear. The players themselves don't know what's going on. It's just a game, but the monster just makes people feel scared. It's not that they are afraid of death. Players know very well that they will die sooner or later. The fear is indescribable, it is more like a feeling of oppression that affects one's rationality and makes one feel suffocated. At this moment, inside the entire city wall, the players were silent and did not make any movements. Only those wolf cubs were roaring happily. Xu Yuan was also puzzled when he saw this. Weren't these players just discussing how to deal with me? Now that I came out, they didn't react. Seeing this, Xu Yuan couldn't help but sigh. It seems that I can only act in cooperation with the wolf cub. At this moment, all the players' attention was focused on Xu Yuan. Xu Yuan also immediately turned on the acting mode. He took a deep look at the wolf cubs around him, then frowned and an expression of extreme disgust appeared on his face. Because Xu Yuan performed really hard, his expression was quickly caught by the players who had been watching him. Am I seeing things? He seems a little scared. Do you think so too? He seems, as if, to be afraid of wolves. What the hell? It's true. He's really afraid of wolves. Quote. After capturing the expression of the white-eyed monster, the players immediately became excited. Seeing this, the owners of the wolf cubs immediately gave orders to the wolf cubs. Go ahead. Bite him. 15 bones. It's your turn to show off. Shall Bai. Go bite him. Quote. After the wolf cubs' masters gave the order, the wolf cubs all rushed forward. Seeing that the players had taken the bait, Xu Yuan acted even harder. Seeing the wolf cubs rushing over, Xu Yuan immediately teleported away. Just not far away was the hole that was blown out by the siege wall. After teleporting here, Xu Yuan left without looking back. After chasing for a distance, the wolf cubs teleported back to their master. Xu Yuan had been gone for quite some time, but the players still hadn't reacted. After a while, someone finally found the direction Xu Yuan left and looked outside. After seeing that there was nothing outside, I was suddenly confused. He was scared away. As soon as this player finished speaking, the players inside the city wall instantly exploded. What the hell? Just like that, we won. What the hell? This white-eyed monster has been scaring people for so long, but now he's afraid of wolves. A few wolves took him down. Are we worse than these pups? What kind of plot is this? I'm totally confused. Isn't this victory too sudden? Since he is afraid of wolves, next time we meet him, we can prepare a few more wolf cubs, so we can take him down, right? The players' reactions undoubtedly prove that Xu Yuan's acting skills are still good. At least the audience was very satisfied with the show and many gave it positive reviews. The players in the city wall were cheering, but Steve and a few of his friends had sad faces. How is this possible? Something's wrong. It's so abnormal. Chapter 18. It seems that the game is won. Steve and a few friends know much more about the white-eyed monsters than these players. This is why only a few of them felt something was wrong. Steve saw that his friends were as confused as he was, so he asked everyone. You guys also noticed something was wrong. Seeing this, all the friends nodded. It's normal for monsters in games to have weaknesses, but a monster like him wouldn't show them so easily even if he had them. Yes. And he has the ability to think. Even if he is afraid of wolves, with his strength, he can kill these wolf cubs effortlessly. Why would he run away? Anyway, I absolutely don't believe that he is afraid of wolves. I don't know if you noticed another thing, that is, when he attacked the city before, he thought of blowing up the city wall from 4 places. Why didn't he think of conquering it from 4 directions? Wouldn't it be easier this way? Quote. After hearing what his friends said, Steve nodded. Yes, I noticed what Xiao Wu said before. It was my negligence before. I forgot that we needed to defend on all sides. I also thought that he might have neglected it and didn't think of attacking on all sides. Now it seems that there is a big problem here. Steve sensed something was wrong as early as when the white-eyed monster attacked the city. Before, he just thought that it might be the result of the white-eyed monster's negligence. But considering that he ran away after seeing the wolf, the previous incident might not have been his negligence. I guess it was intentional. And if that white-eyed monster really wants to win, the most appropriate method is to attack together with the monsters. Anyway, the players couldn't find where he was going at all. With monsters as cover, the players were all in a panic and scattered in a group. This will eliminate players faster. But he didn't do it. Instead, he let the monsters in first and then came in after the players had killed the monsters. This line of thinking is too illogical. When Steve thought about this, he suddenly felt confused. With his strength, he can definitely destroy us without any effort. Why did he go through so much trouble and lose on purpose? All the friends shook their heads. I don't understand. Do you want to make someone extremely inflated before suppressing them? Is this necessary? We pose no threat to him at all, why is he going through so much trouble? Quote. Steve and his friends pondered for a long time, but still couldn't figure out what this white-eyed monster was up to. But one thing they could be sure of was that they did not win this battle. If we really talk about winning, it was that white-eyed monster who deliberately let them win this battle. They never took the initiative in this battle, the initiative was always in the hands of that white-eyed monster. He wants players to win so that players can win. As for why he wanted them to win, Steve and the others still couldn't figure it out. We can only take one step at a time and see. If this was intentional on the part of the white-eyed monster, then he will definitely make new moves next. After Steve thought about this, he told his friends about his idea, and then asked everyone. I'm going to stay and see what's going on. Why don't you go somewhere else to develop? Steve naturally knew that the best solution now was to escape from this place. Because no matter what, this group of people will eventually fall into the hands of the white-eyed monster. No matter what purpose the white-eyed monster had in doing this, the final outcome would not be favorable to the players. So leave here quickly so as not to limit your development. But Steve didn't want to leave. Because he knew that he could escape for a while but not for a lifetime. Even if I leave now, since this white-eyed monster exists in the game world, there will always be a day when I will meet it again. It would be better to think of a way to deal with him now when I have nothing to worry about. Steve made this suggestion out of consideration for the development of his friends. He certainly wouldn't ask his friends to spend time with him like this. After hearing what Steve said, his friends all shook their heads. We have been a team from the beginning, and you still want to go solo. Brother, you know how curious I am. If I don't find out what he wants to do, how can I have the heart to develop with him? We can still develop here. At worst, we can just bury the supplies underground. It doesn't matter. Quote. Steve was also very moved to see his friends being so loyal and righteous. Okay. Then let's wait here and see what he is going to sing. At this moment, Steve and his friends are probably the only sober people inside the city walls. The other players were all immersed in the joy of victory. What a lousy monster with white eyes. He was scared away by a few wolf cubs. If he dares to come again next time, we will let the wolf cubs gnaw him till there is nothing left of him. I have a goal from now on. Kill Xiaobai and collect his bones to train the wolves. Do you think he will get scared and won't dare to come again? Wouldn't we be at a huge loss then? If he doesn't come, we can just take the wolf cub and go find him. Anyway, I want all the supplies he has. Quote. At this moment, the players in the live broadcast room were also extremely excited. I didn't expect such a powerful monster to be afraid of wolves. I always feel like something is wrong. A wolf isn't very aggressive, right? It's a neutral monster. Cats are even less aggressive. Wouldn't a creeper just run away when it saw them? It's normal for monsters to have natural enemies. I thought this monster was so amazing, but this is it. Just this. Brothers, I'm done talking. I'm going to hang out with Boss Steve. Let's get going once it's daybreak. Killing this monster might yield some goodies. Quote. At this moment, there were still a very small number of players in the live broadcast room who felt that something was wrong with the whole thing. But those voices were quickly suppressed. Most players only believe what they see. After all, they have never met the white-eyed monster face to face. Most of the time, they have seen it in live broadcast rooms or heard about it from others. Although so many people describe this monster as being so powerful, players still don't quite believe it. Or they don't want to believe it. After seeing the white-eyed monster being scared away by the wolf, many players felt sympathy. Now that the monster's weakness has been found, killing it is only a matter of time. Although this white-eyed monster has weaknesses, its own strength is not weak. I guess what comes out will be pretty good. Next, everyone has heard that he has thoughts. Maybe he has a lot of good stuff hidden in his lair. Suddenly, there was a wave of suicides in the game. After the players died, they all chose coordinates close to Steve's station. They all rushed towards the base. The players in the base saw so many players in the live broadcast room and wanted to join them. They are naturally happy. After all, the stronger the team, the better. Brothers, come here. Let's develop together and kill the white-eyed monsters together. With so many people coming, we have to expand the city wall again. Let me make it clear first. When you encounter the white-eyed monsters, you'll have to rely on your own abilities. Don't steal the supplies. Quote. At this moment, the players had no idea that the walls had ears. All their words were heard clearly by Xu Yuan, who was hiding in a stone inside the city wall. After Xu Yuan came out of the city wall, he didn't leave at all, but hid directly inside the city wall. Of course, it is also to understand the audience's feelings after watching the movie. So far, the response seems to be very good. At least we know from the players that many players are rushing here. It seems that this game of chess has been won. Chapter 19 Professional Training for Pedicurists. In fact, Xu Yuan's acting just now was really poor. Normally, Xu Yuan has explosive skills, so even if he is afraid of the wolf cubs, his first reaction would definitely be to kill them first. It's totally impossible to be scared away by seeing them. However, most players are still only willing to believe what they see with their own eyes. Even if there are doubts about the matter, they will make it justifiable. Xu Yuan was relieved to see that the players believed in his acting skills. Although it is a bit troublesome to plan these things, it is still necessary at present. The game world is so big and the players are scattered all over the place. This makes it much more difficult for Xu Yuan to gain kill points. Although a monster tower was built, its efficiency is only 5,000 kill points per hour. However, Xu Yuan needs to use kill points in too many places. Upgrading skills and activating mods require a large amount of kill points. Skills and activating mods are the two major factors in improving your strength. Deterrence is only used to control monsters and is not that useful. At present, relying solely on the monster tower can only meet some of the early stage needs. The kill points required to upgrade skills will definitely increase as time goes by. Therefore, if you need to get a lot of kill points, you still have to grab them from the players. After all, the later the game progresses, the more monsters players kill, and killing one person can earn more than 5,000 kill points. What Xu Yuan needs to do now is to cultivate this group of players and attract more and more players to come here. When the time is right, you can reap the harvest. After thinking about this, Xu Yuan pondered for a moment. It seems they don't know how to spawn monsters yet. If you want to make these players strong, you must teach them how to kill monsters without getting hurt. Xu Yuan took a look and found that the players on the grassland basically would not go out at night. That proves that they don't know how to repair their feet or build monster-killing towers. Looks like I need to teach them how to do a pedicure. In fact, if players want to quickly accumulate kill points, the monster tower is the best choice. But if players are told how to make a monster tower, it will undoubtedly speed up their progress. You should know that the player's kill value will affect the progress of mod activation. If players are told how to build a monster tower, it will definitely speed up the opening of the mod. If Xu Yuan is not strong enough, players turning on mod will still pose a certain threat to Xu Yuan. It's like the weapon of Duskwood, the shield scepter. After use, 5 shields will be suspended around the body, and each shield can help the player offset one conventional damage. Conventional damage includes explosion damage. If players had this thing, and Xu Yuan only had the output skill of explosion, then Xu Yuan can't cause any harm to the player at all. In this way, Xu Yuan was completely in a passive position. Therefore, if you want to fatten up the players, the best way is to teach them how to do foot care. In this way, players' kill values will not increase too quickly, but also not too slowly. As long as more players gather together, the kill value provided by this group of people to Xu Yuan will be sufficient. Of course, the best solution is to make players dependent on this place. Even if I am killed by Xu Yuan once, I will continue to survive here, which is the best. But Xu Yuan doesn't have the final say on this matter. It is up to the players themselves to decide whether to stay or leave. After Xu Yuan thought about this, he prepared to implement this plan. Let's teach the players how to do pedicures first. At this moment, the sky was just beginning to brighten. After Xu Yuan left the stones on the city wall, he teleported away from the player's base. After searching around, we saw a cave several meters deep, which looked like it had been mined by humans. I guess this should be the place where the players collected stones before. This place is nice. There is no light in the cave, so it is normal for monsters to appear even during the day. Next, this is where players used to come to collect stones. Xu Yuan had also heard before that a large number of players were coming. They will have to rebuild the walls and will surely come here again. Therefore, if a pedicure shed is built here, it will definitely be discovered by the players. After finding a suitable location, Xu Yuan immediately started setting up a pedicure shed. In fact, building a pedicure shed is very simple, and it is no different from building a matchbox. The only difference is that you need to replace the stones close to the ground with half bricks. In fact, you can also directly dig out the stones close to the ground, but this will not prevent spiders and small zombies. After all, spiders and small zombies are only 1 grid high. So after changing to half bricks, you can basically prevent all monsters. Xu Yuan quickly built a pedicure shed. Then a passage was dug out inside the pedicure shed. This passage is of no use to Xu Yuan, but it will be very useful to the players later. After doing all this, Xu Yuan controlled some lone monsters in the cave, and then gathered them around the pedicure shed. After doing all this, Xu Yuan hid among the surrounding rocks. Everything is ready, just waiting for the players to come. Xu Yuan waited for about half an hour before he heard the sound of players talking not far away. I don't know how many people will come. How many stones do we need to dig? There should be at least 1,800 people today, right? People who are too far away probably won't be able to be teleported to this coordinate in a while, and they may have to change buses several times. 1,800. How funny. There are more than 10,000 people in my live broadcast room, and almost all of them are ready to come. That would be great. If we set up a guild, wouldn't we be the #1 guild in the future? That depends on what supplies you get after killing that white-eyed monster. Let's go, there's a lot to do. Quote. Several players came out of the cave while chatting. The leading player, whose ID was Xiaopo, led everyone to the outside of the cave and took a look inside. This sight frightened them so much that they staggered. The scene inside the cave was a bit weird. All I saw were a few zombies and Xiaobai surrounding a matchbox-like building. It seemed as if there was something inside that was attracting them. Xiaopo and his friends had actually reached the monsters' hatred distance, but the monsters didn't even turn their heads. Upon seeing this, everyone immediately took several steps back. What's going on in there? Our distance has already attracted the hatred of those monsters, right? Why don't they attack us? Could it be that the white-eyed monster is controlling these monsters again? Quote. Although they had just won a battle, the players were still wary of the white-eyed monsters. They always bring a wolf cub with them when they travel. Everyone immediately let the wolf cub sniff around, and after making sure that the surrounding stones were fine, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. What should we do? Should we go and have a look? Is there anyone in the matchbox? How about you howl and see if anyone responds to you? While everyone was talking, the sharp-eyed Xiaopo saw a trapdoor on the ground not far away. He hurried over and opened the trapdoor, revealing a long passage underneath. Look, there's a passage this way. Chapter 20 Ding. Taming system activated. Although the passage is long, there is no end in sight. Fortunately, there were torches every few meters throughout the passage. The torches lit up the entire passage. This also made the people in Xiaopo let down their guard. Could this passage lead to that matchbox? Don't mention it, it's really possible. Otherwise, how could a trapdoor appear here out of nowhere? This should be man-made, right? Could that white-eyed monster also make a trapdoor? Let's go down and take a look. Quote. After everyone in Xiaopo discussed it, they all prepared to go down and take a look. After walking for about a few meters, there was no road in front of the passage, and at the end of the passage, a 2x2 passage was dug above the head. There is a staircase on the side of the passage, and above the staircase is another trapdoor. It looks like this is the end of this passage. The people on Xiaopo climbed up the ladder and pushed open the trapdoor without any hesitation. Arriving at the space above, everyone immediately confirmed their previous guess. Is it really that matchbox? Only when Xiaopo and his group reached the inside of the matchbox could they finally see its appearance clearly. It turns out that the part of the matchbox close to the ground was not made of stones, but half bricks were used instead. Everyone in Xiaopo could see the monster's feet, and although the monster could sense them, it could not attack them. When everyone in Xiaopo saw this, they were overjoyed. What the hell? Is this even possible? It seems that we have discovered a way to kill monsters without taking any damage. Awesome. I wonder which master created this. I guess the original owner left in such a hurry that he forgot to tear it down. Quote. Xiaopo and the others were not stupid. After arriving at the pedicure shed, they immediately knew its use. They immediately picked up their weapons and became pedicure masters. After chopped down all the monsters around the pedicure shed without any injury, everyone in Xiaopo was very excited. It's so G awesome. Build this thing, and I'll have something to do at night. Damn it, if I had known this earlier, I could have used this method to kill those monsters without getting hurt when they attack the city. Yes, with this strategy, we won't be afraid even if the white-eyed monster comes with thousands of troops. Quote. The game has only been launched for a short time, although players are no longer afraid of these monsters. But we haven't found a way to deal with them without causing any harm. If you insist, they only deal with zombies, so they just need to raise it. But they have no way to deal with Whitey and Creeper. So I had to hide in a safe place at night. The same is true for everyone in Xiaopo. They just experienced how great it was to kill monsters without taking any damage. With this method of killing monsters, you no longer have to hide at night. In this way, one's own development will be faster. Let's go, let's stop digging stones and go back to tell everyone the good news. Do you want to start a live broadcast? If this thing is broadcast live, it will definitely be a hit. Forget about the live broadcast. Let's digest it internally first. Xiaopo, why don't you start a guild? I believe with this strategy, you will be the best candidate for the guild leader. Quote. The people in Xiaopo were not prepared to hide the truth. After all, they couldn't hide it even if they wanted to. With this strategy, they will definitely go out to kill monsters at night, and someone will definitely know about it after a while. It would be better to make good use of this strategy to win over people's hearts. Although there are many players gathered on this grassland, there is no leader yet. Steve is currently the favorite to be elected. But with this guide, it's hard to say. Everyone in Xiaopo is ambitious. After all, who doesn't want to be the boss? After thinking about this, everyone in Xiaopo immediately rushed back to their base. Before leaving, I didn't forget to dismantle the pedicure shed to avoid being seen by others. After everyone on Xiaopo left, Xu Yuan emerged from the stone. I have to say that Xu Yuan was very satisfied with the reactions from the people in Xiaopo. Xu Yuan was a little worried that after the people in Xiaopo saw this pedicure shed, they would hide the strategy and not tell others. This means Xu Yuan will have to think of other solutions. Fortunately, everyone in Xiaopo is very sensible and does not intend to keep this strategy secret. As long as everyone in Xiaopo spreads this strategy, Xu Yuan's plan will be stable. Then all we have to do is wait for the players to develop on their own. Now that a big problem has finally been solved, Xu Yuan finally feels much more at ease. I opened the system and was about to check out the benefits of the monster tower, but I found some extra information on the information panel. Zombie 1120 killed player 1. Closing square bracket. The taming system has been activated. Closing square bracket. Zombie 1120 taming progress 1/10. Complete the progress to evolve primary consciousness. Closing square bracket. Zombie 1120 died, taming progress reset to 0. Closing square bracket. Question mark. Zombie 3003 kills player 1. Zombie 3003 taming progress 1/10. Closing square bracket. Zombie 3003 died, taming progress reset to 0. Closing square bracket. Because a virtual screen would pop up every time the system prompted, and because of the monster spawning tower, Xu Yuan was constantly being popped up. Xu Yuan found it a bit annoying and turned it off. Fortunately, the system will save important prompt information, so Xu Yuan did not miss this important information. After seeing this information, Xu Yuan couldn't help but feel excited. Taming system. Monsters can be tamed. Although there is a deterrent force, Xu Yuan is already able to control the monster. But control and taming are two completely different concepts. Controlling a monster only controls its actions. The monster itself has no thoughts, and its actions are completely in accordance with Xu Yuan's thoughts and consciousness. But taming is different. The system shows that taming can make monsters conscious. In other words, monsters will have their own thinking patterns. In this way, Xu Yuan no longer needs to operate them step by step. He only needs to give them orders and they will execute them on their own. Thinking of this, Xu Yuan immediately turned on the taming system. As soon as he opened it, Xu Yuan felt dazzled. Taming the panel is still a bit complicated. It is divided into 4 major sections. Information about surrounding monsters, controllable monsters, taming progress, and consciousness evolution. There is nothing much to say about the information about surrounding monsters and controllable monsters, it is clear at a glance. It contains information about various monsters, and the system considerately numbers each monster. Just like the system prompt showed before, Zombie 1120, Zombie 3003. Then there is the taming progress. There is currently nothing in this column. After all, players 1120 and 3003 both died gloriously. After opening the 4th column of information, the system immediately pops up the notes for this column. Question mark. Consciousness evolution. After completing the taming process, you can progress to consciousness evolution. Kill 10 players cumulatively and gain primary consciousness. Closing square bracket. Kill 1000 players cumulatively and gain intermediate consciousness. Closing square bracket. Kill 10,000 players cumulatively and gain advanced consciousness. Closing square bracket. Kill 1 million players cumulatively and gain autonomous consciousness. Closing square bracket. Primary consciousness. Monsters gain primary consciousness, abandoning some of the original game settings. Note: after the monster gains primary consciousness, killing players will accumulate its own taming progress. Each time it kills a player, it accumulates 1 point. Intermediate consciousness. Monsters gain intermediate consciousness, gain autonomous behavior and thoughts, and can control some unconscious monsters within range. Closing square bracket. Advanced consciousness. Monsters gain advanced consciousness, their own strength increases, they have a certain command power, their control range expands, and they can control primary consciousness zombies and unconscious zombies within the range. Closing square bracket. Autonomous consciousness. Monsters gain autonomous consciousness and form their own thinking patterns. After the species completes primary evolution, the kill value gained from autonomous killing belongs to the host. Closing square bracket. Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audiobook to stay updated with our latest stories. And never miss out on a great listen.